24 will become 7 in a matter of a few hours as these drivers all set themselves out to be alongside PSR, Talent Factory and Outplayed Racing for a challenge and a chance to win up to £3,000 worth of gear and prizes in this WOR Legacy Division Season 3. Thanks for being alongside us for this one. It is myself, Jota, alongside PGS James Head for what is going to be a fantastic set of events ahead of us. And we are in for what I think is going to be a very spicy affair. The drivers are out there getting very excited.
They are indeed. Welcome everyone to the stream. We're finally live, by the way. Goodness me, thank you so much for actually holding on to us. I think at this point we are only 25 minutes late. Qualifying has just begun here for Lobby 1, and hopefully it is going to be a good night. There's 5 teams in this first lobby: VRT, NLR Esports, along with TGT, GL, and IRT. We'll go through them in, I'm sure, an absolute second. But we are now live and on track action, and I believe the first man out on track, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the McLarens, and I believe that might be Mika coming through the middle sector. He is purple in that middle sector at this moment in time. Of course, for VRT. VRT primarily a PlayStation team right now. They are EML Challenge Cup winners in the past as well, along with CTC Division 2. So Mika, we're really going to try and hang on, I think, with this qualifying, and VRT could potentially, in terms of that, as Mika now comes through the final corner on the run to the line, 1:15.3, but these drivers have got 14 minutes to set the laps.
Yeah, they absolutely do. As we just go and have a quick look, actually, what we've got in Lobby 1 as the drivers are all out on the field then setting their laps. And there it is at the moment. So in Lobby 1, we have IRT, VRT, we've got NLR, and we've got actually one of the teams that you are predicting to actually get through. As we actually, let's take a quick look at those predictions, actually, mentioning this, because we're in for a little bit of a fight here. Both me and Luke agree on the teams that we think are going to go through, into Season 3, but a mixed bag for yourself.
A mixed bag for myself. I need to remember who I actually put looking at the graphic. Parnell Racing's in there, NRX is in there, G League as well. I've actually seen G League in a team event in recent weeks in the EML Challenge Cup series that we did on Wednesday, and they actually came alive, I've got to say, for GL. NRX there, I don't really have to say much about them. TF10, SLRT could qualify. FBR, I think, are going to qualify. They're coming up, I think, in Lobby 3, so that's going to be very interesting. But watch out for NLR Esports. They're going to be ones to watch out for. Ruti currently topping the session with a 115 flat even from Ruti. Danny in second, Grimbles there in third. So we'll see what we can do in terms of that, and hopefully some of the predictions will be right.
Yeah, so from my side, I think BRT, NRX, Novus, Juventus, Parnell, Shazoo, and TF10 are the ones. I think TF10 actually were a bit unlucky to miss out on Season 2, to be honest with you. They were flying high, and I think them alongside Team Valor, the recently demised Team Valor as well, actually, were unlucky to miss out on Season 2. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those drivers have got coming up. I think it'd be an absolute treat for Parnell and Juventus, of course, as well. They're two teams that are teamed up together moving forward, so they're going to be ones, I think, to watch moving forward. But I'd be very surprised if the likes of NRX don't get through, of course, after recently losing their star driver and then regaining their star driver. They're going to be ones to watch, obviously, in this season ahead of us. But Lobby 1 are what we have. They're the teams that are going to be racing with us at the moment as we go live now into the event here. And as it stands so far, immediately running riot are the NLR team, with Ruti Gillett leading the way with a 15-0 around this Hungary qualifier.
Yeah, the Finn doing a good job, I've got to say, so far with a 1:15.042. Now, I'm expecting times to drop down as the sessions go on. We could be seeing 14.8s, 14.9s, I think, by the end of this session. Hopefully, by the end of all of the sessions that we've got here. We've got 4 lobbies for you. Current times are predicted as 7:45, 8:10, and then 8:35, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of the lobby times, because of the delays and because of all the glitches that we've been having. We are a little bit behind schedule. Apex is now going to be the first man going on to his second run. Apex, of course, apart. I believe, I'm just going to get my notes up to the right-hand side of me. Apex, of course, is a part of... In fact, I don't know which teams he's part of, because I haven't got the drivers in on my notes. This is why I really should check. But they're in the Williams, I can assume it's Team IRT, and Apex now coming through the final corner. Of course, an Xbox-based side. They're on the run towards turn 1 with Apex, and hopefully Apex will hit all the Apexes of these 14 turns in Hungary.
Yeah, absolutely fair play going into turn 1. This is where we're expecting the majority of the racing to be occurring, of course, out on circuits, but no racing here. It's all about time trial now. Get the best lap in as quickly as you can, and I think a lot of these drivers are going to be leaving it very late. Of course, 18 minutes to set your best lap time, and there are plenty of managers out there as well who are very, very keen indeed to establish themselves out there, because critically they will be watching every driver out here like a hawk to make sure they don't go over track limits. Fortunately, I'm going to be one of those individuals to call out NLR's kill cry, unfortunately. He definitely track extended at turn 14, coming across the start finishing line, so his lap surely will not count on this occasion. I'm sure he'll want to try and get something out there as quickly as he possibly can. Going through the right-hander then, and I think it was flat at one point in the old spec Formula 1 cars. New spec have to lift just that little bit, actually, as he then heads through the right-hander, heading through into turn 12 as he's getting impeded by the Aston Martin, and that is critical for the Williams team here, and no doubt that's getting sent to the stewards. Drama only 6 minutes into this qualifying session, and drama before that as well. As drama all around. Can you believe it?
Yeah, and that was the Aston Martin of VP Jordan, who was just preparing up for his lap coming through turns 12 and 13, which is unfortunate, and I think that is going to be investigated by the stewards. I no doubt the fact that Apex is going to get another lap in. He was looking very quick, I've got to say, 54th lap in the middle sector up until that point. So we'll see what Apex can do, of course, as the session goes on. It's Rutiel on top, though, Danny in second, Drimble's there in third. I'm just on board with Ruti right now, and he's 1200s up coming through the first sector, now coming through this very twisting section coming through the middle sector. There's such a tight-knit track here in Hungary. Now coming in toward the right-hand return number 11, where you can take flat out, actually, if you get the angle right, and Ruti already up 53.5 in that middle sector. So Apex, in terms of that middle sector, was 5 tenths down on Ruti, what he is currently setting in terms of this lap time. As now Ruti comes through the final couple of corners, there's still about 9 minutes to go in this session. As Mika now tops the session, but I don't think it's going to be for long, because Ruti now coming through the final corner, the Finn on the run toward the line, should go to the top. And he does 1:14.869, and that is a great lap there for the Finn, who I've got to say is missing a league race just to qualify for NLR in this Legacy Division event.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's team credit there, actually, really focusing himself there, as we've got GL's Grimbo's going a massive track extension going through 10, so that will be his lap over and done with, and it's actually invalidated in the game as well, so no risk of a penalty if he finishes that one. Just to make note, by the way, what happened with Jordan, by the way, in the Aston Martin, 1:15.067. It goes 1/100th of a second slower than the Ferrari for Team GL. So in that situation, he's got 4th place, but no doubt he's in a bit of trouble here with the impeding of the Williams team, the TPE team of Apex, who's now just had to go himself on an outlap again, and 8 minutes to go as well. Not long left in that one, but Ruti there with the 1:14.8 is certainly putting NLR in good stead, because I did actually say in my notes, I think NLR were a team that were just going to miss out on qualifying. I did think that they'd be up there, but I said that they may be finishing 8th or 9th overall, but we'll have to see with lap times from Ruti there. That could be a good one, and hopefully kill cry for NLR obviously will push hard to try and match the quality of his co-compatriot himself. Unfortunately though, 1/4 of a second down in the first sector.
Yeah, he's actually just came off a lap. He's somehow fit between Max and Jordan there in 4th position. 15th lap, very good lap time, I'm going to say, from the NLR man. Former Team Mentalism driver, actually, in Kilcree. Frenchman doing a great job, of course, now part of NLR. He did a great job in Team Mentalism as well. And is probably one of the most underdog performances, I think, in terms of drivers on the PlayStation platform, I think. And Kilcree looking to try and get it up towards the end of the field. Ruti though out on top for Mika there in second. Max there in third. Looking through the session at this minute in time, there's about 10 minutes worth of getting into the lobby and everything between lap times, and hopefully everything is going to go according to plan. Well, we say that, it probably won't, but we never know what can happen here. We had game glitches and all sorts before this lobby was getting going. But Ruti out on top, Mika there in second, Max there in third. Devil there saying there is still 7 minutes left in the session. Yeah, there is indeed. And with 7 minutes left in the session, that means we're going to see multiple improvements in terms of the lap times. And I believe the first man out on track now is B. Danny, the Hungarian, coming through the final couple of corners for Team BRT, one of the sole formed PlayStation-based teams actually in Lobby 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And NLR there, I think a comment just coming in actually from one of the teams out there, I think it's Harley actually, is just saying 14-8 isn't that good, you know. And I'm like, yeah, it's not great because we've still got a little bit of time left in the session for the track to evolve. Of course, the track will evolve and then de-evolve because, of course, we're in different lobbies for each of these teams. So we're not seeing the best of these runners at the moment. I'm expecting we definitely will see at least a 14-6 at some point in this session, as I'm just monitoring Apex as he now comes across the final corner to set his first initial lap time, and it's well off the pace with a 15.9. Of course, impeded earlier on by Jordan in the Aston Martin is the last thing, of course, they will be needing. But you're right in following B. Danny, who actually abandons his lap before he even gets going, and he's 4 seconds down in that first sector. Other laps also coming in as well. We've got Driver, that's Jordan's teammate actually, in the other Aston Martin, and he's just going around through into turn 1 at the moment. 15.4 his initial lap time, but very slow on the accelerator pedal coming through into turn and in and out of turn 1 into turn 2. Very hesitant again. I'm wondering if it's a little bit more of a conservative approach coming from the secondary Aston Martin as he comes across the first sector split, though he is 2/10 up in that first sector.
Yeah, looking very good, I've got to say. Coming now through the right-hand of turn number 5, he's looking very, very good as F1 driver now coming in towards the chicane of turn 6 and 7. This is where you really get caught on the curb on the outside. Take too much grass there, you will be sent offline coming through turn 8 and 9. It's looking very good, I've got to say, from his standpoint. Jordan there in 5th position as well, currently part of the Aston Martin team as F1 driver now comes through the middle sector. 53.4. Up on Ruti's time. Big middle sector coming in here for the Aston Martin team has now come through the final couple of corners. Of course, Aston Martin, I believe a TGT, if I'm not mistaken. The TGT looking to try and get on the board with this. F1 driver now coming in toward the final couple of corners. The Irish-based team from County Donegal, believe it or not, as F1 driver now comes through the middle set of the final sector, through the final corner, on the run to the line and goes second. 14.895. Not a bad lap there at all, but there are multiple improvements coming, I believe, out on track right now, including Grimbles is coming to the line and goes third. 14.961.
On board with Ruti as well. He's a 10th up in the second sector as well, and looking like the lap times are starting to decline now. Good lap coming in from that Aston Martin to get second fastest, but we did say 14.6s are probably what we're going to be looking at towards the end of this particular session, at least with this particular lobby. Anyway, as NLR Ruti Gilt comes across the line, and it's a 14.768, so he does improve, but not into those 14.6s. The lap times are starting to tumble, as we've got Grimbos in the first sector, and he's, although it did say he was 2/10 up, but now make that 7/10 down as he ends up track extending, going through turn 4 into 5. Keeping an eye on Mika through the second sector. He goes purple in the second sector for Team VRT. This is another team that I said would just miss out, I believe, in this qualifying, but some lap times and some fairly decent lap times coming in actually, as Mika looking a little bit wide actually, going through 13 then into 14 for the McLaren as he looks to try and get himself towards the front. Can he beat Ruti though as he comes across the line right now? He does not. 14.901, but 8 thousandths of a second faster than Jordan in the Aston Martin. Oh, and a big slide actually from GL's Max as well, going through turn 1 on here, the end of his lap, and he's only P5 but beating Grimbos by a little bit over 7/100ths of a second, and he's entering into the pit lane now as we look and follow NLR's Kill Cry, looking to be alongside his teammate, and he certainly gets there. Second fastest, and NLR 1-2 in lobby 1.
Yeah, and we did say about NLR potentially just missing out. Of course, we don't know until we get to lobby 4, and at the end of lobby 4, all of these times will be absolutely added up. The cumulative time, I think, for both drivers are going to be added up, and then an average is formed, I think. So, with NLR currently top in the session, first and second, they look quite confident, I think, at this stage, but we don't know, even us in the commentary team don't know who's going to be qualifying through, which is really good. It keeps you guys on the edge, it keeps us guys on the edge of our seats as well. But Ruti out on top, Kill 3 in second, F1 driver there in third. Majority of drivers, I think, are finished now on laps, as we have got about 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this qualifying session so far. NLR already in with these times in Francesco Logo. Of course, he's represented for Juventus Racing, who will coming up a little bit later on. Looking through the chat as well, I'm going to be taking the race director notes as well from all of the sessions, so all of that is going to be added. I'm going to be sending that to Luke. Debo saying in the chat as well, is it Q1, Q2, Q3? No, it is Q1, 80 minutes worth of qualifying sessions for each of the 4 lobbies, so about 20 minutes in length, and then a 10-minute turnaround, hopefully, in terms of getting people in. But while we have got the little bit of break in the session, 2 Williams drivers are out, of course, Apex and indeed Liam McDermott, and both of them are now out for Team And I'm trying to think. IRT, and they are an international-based team as well. First time in qualifying for WR Legacy Division. They're in the Williams, and hopefully they'll be producing a very, very good performance, considering that the team was actually established in 2023.
Oh, thank you for keeping me on the edge of that one, actually, because I just got my laptop out because I'm going to start doing some maths in a bit to try and give at least some guidance on what we've got coming up. But in the meantime, we do have the two Williams with a minute and a half to go. While this, by the way, is happening, Kilcry's actually retired from the session. He entered into pit lane. He didn't believe he had enough time to be able to get in, get out on a new set of soft tyres on this occasion. So it is all down to Ruti now to try and improve on NLR's performance of a 1-2, or rather, he can't get any further than P1, can he? But it's 14.768 for him at the moment. It looks like F1 driver 2018 trying to knock on the door potentially of Kilcry. He's still within the same 10th, and Mika, as always, is knocking on the door as well. He hasn't got a lot of time to get around the circuit. In fact, I think he's actually going to miss out, will VRT's Mika. So I'm not entirely sure why VRT have sent him out, because he's not going to reach unless he ends up cutting perhaps the chicane to which Jordan is now actually approaching. I would say, though, I think Aston Martin, the Aston Martin team, are certainly in trouble a little bit here, because the lack of knowledge, shall we say, of Jordan with Apex, even though Apex probably, well, Apex's time is obviously well off of the pace considering everyone else. He has every right to be able to set a lap time, and he got blocked. So as a result of that one, I suspect there may be a penalty on the way of Jordan and his team in that one, as well, as you've seen a bit of a tank slapper, I imagine.
Yeah, that was Lee McDermott coming to the right-hand with turn number 5. Very much on the oversteer, coming out of the corner. Recovered the car, and again through turn number 8. It just looks a little bit squirrely. Nearly too much there coming through turn number 9. Now in towards the right-hand with turn number 11. The Williams team looking to try and get on the board. IRT, 54.1. Nowhere near what we've seen from Ruti, Kilcry, and F1 drivers. So I think it's fair to say potentially IRT is going to be one of the ones that are definitely going to be knocked out with their times currently, as Lee McDermott comes through in toward the end of Lobby 1 and toward the end of the final couple of corners through turn 14 now on board with the Scotsman as he comes now on the run toward the line. We'll see what he can do. It's an improvement, 15.7. Apex is invalidated, so that is going to be that for IRT and their quest to qualify for Legacy Division.
Yeah, I think that will probably be it for IRT. That will be a bit of shame, actually, that they couldn't get anywhere near the 15.5s, to be honest with you, but it is what it is for them. Danny comes across the line then for VRT. It's a 14.9 for him as well, alongside Mika. A lot of people in the 14.9s, and it may end up that we end up with hundreds, maybe even thousands of a second deciding whether you qualify or not for this event. And it's safe to say, as Ruti comes across the line and goes even faster, and there it is, the 14.6 that we were looking for in this particular lobby, as Ruti has certainly put NLR in the brink of potentially qualifying for this Season 3 of WOR Legacy Division. Of course, up to nearly £3,000 worth of prizes being handed out as a result of this one. So important, as Grimbos comes across the line and knocks Kilcry off of the top row, and it will not make it an NLR 1-2 in the end, and Max goes P3 in the end, or rather goes P2 rather in that one. So that is massive there for the team out there, to say the least. But there is your race director notes, James. I'm sure that you're going to be making note of for Luke's sake on that one. But in the end, GL come out of nowhere and put in some respectable lap times of a 14.8. Knocks Kilcry off of the second spot, but NLR will be so happy with that 14.616 and definitely puts them on the brink of that one. We will be going through to Lobby 2 in just a few short moments. Let's take a quick look at what we have coming up, because these are your teams, and they look very familiar, don't they? We have got False Group Esports in there with SLRT, one of the teams that you think potentially could qualify, James. WOR Esports are also back, as well as FVR, GSR, and look at that middle logo right there. ERL also are now back, and they're hoping to get themselves in on this one, James. We're in for a magnificent second lobby here. Some big names in this one.
We are indeed, and I think it is probably going to be one of the most competitive lobbies I think that we're going to see. I'll move away from the camera because I know people were complaining that was too close to the camera, so hopefully people can see me and everything, and that is all okay. Yeah, SLRT, I was doing the notes a little bit earlier on. Of course, they finished 10th last season, along with Simbarox and Nico, who are going to be their drivers, so that's going to be very interesting indeed to see. Hopefully, though, the drivers are going to be getting on terms in terms of the grip and everything as well out on track. There are two other teams as well actually qualifying for the first time or for the second time, I should say, actually, in this Lobby 2. WOR Esports, as you mentioned, 9th, of course, last season in Season 2. And that was 31 points to their name. And ERL Esports, last time they actually converted was Season 1, back in 9th position, 47 points to their name. I can tell I've been doing the homework, but the team to watch out for, FVR, I've got them down potentially as one to qualify, and I expect big things considering they've got Stefano and Guillen in as their lineup.
Yeah, you put them down there as well alongside SLRT as well. Now, SLR, were a team that sort of surprised a lot of people, actually. They ended up having just a one or two couple of quick drivers last season in WOR's Legacy Division in Season 2, and they ended up taking an race victory as a result of that driver as well. They were really, really quick. In just the one or two races, but overall, obviously, were towards the back of the midfield. But you did put them in as a surprise entry to potentially win this one.
I did, and SLRT, I think they showed, certainly toward the back end of the season in Season 2, the races we covered. Saudi Arabia, remember, they did very well around Saudi Arabia, produced the points there. And they're looking, I think, to try and gain, obviously, that momentum, that little bit of verve. I think they've, of course, recently signed a few other drivers to their roster. They're solely Xbox as well, so that could be a potential positive as well, as I just get into the second lobby. So hopefully everything is going to go okay with the second lobby. We are going to get underway very soon indeed for that. But yeah, FER, certainly to watch out for. They have been esports Masters League champions in the past, so FER definitely wants to watch out for. And WOR, I mean, the home team, we're going to see a lot of support for WOR. They've got Jerem and Fraser in as their drivers, so that is going to be very interesting. And also, in terms of the driver lineup, GSR had a complete change around from my notes a little bit earlier on. It was meant to be Gilly and Cameron Dyson in their lineup with Free Dolphin, who hopefully we're not going to free at the end of tonight, and GSR Sam, who are going to be representing Grand Effect Spec Racing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big one, isn't it? I'm looking forward to seeing what the drivers have got coming up here as well. Obviously, WOR have had a bit of an evaluation of where they were last season. They've now evolved their team somewhat. Some of the drivers that perhaps were, shall we say, causing them issues, shall we say, on circuit, they've obviously now adapted, they've moved on. We've actually got some relatively quick drivers over on the PlayStation Network now, so I wouldn't discredit them, but let's be candid, they are a bit of a backmarker in this one, and of course they're looking just to get themselves sort of set up and in the zone on this one, as the drivers, I'm sure, will be getting themselves ready for this event and sort of getting themselves readied up. So moving forward, we're looking at Lobby 2 then. I did mention about one of the big names, of course, ERL, making their big return. They want to be at the forefront of the event again. They were at the front at one point in the history of esports. They've fallen a little bit back now. What should we expect from a team looking to rebuild on the foundations that they once were?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Bartek and Matigier, I hope I've got the pronunciation right. They're going to be their drivers here tonight. They are a British-based team, 2016, of course, formed. ERL, I wasn't around for Season 1 for WOR Legacy Division, so I don't really know how they got on. I was doing a little bit of homework about them. And they certainly seem like the team to watch out for, I think, in this lobby, along with FBR, along with WOR, along with SLRT as well. There are going to be so much more, I think, at stake. It's certainly in the next couple of lobbies. We've got Parnell Racing and likes coming up in Lobby 3. But ERL, they look to try and come back to the glory days, ideally, in terms of the racing and in terms of the on-track action. Hopefully they can produce that. They are back once again, as are, I believe, Mr. Joseph's team, who I know is in the comment section. He is going to be back. I think it's NVR, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be back as well in Lobby 3 or 4. They're coming up in the next couple of lobbies, but it's going to be very, very interesting. Hopefully everything is going to go according to plan as well. I believe we are just waiting on 2 more drivers to join, and I think they're both from the same team as well.
Oh dear, so the last thing we want is for what that team to end up falling down a little bit here as we go back to, I think it's FVR looking just to get into the lobby. But at the moment, just to answer your question, by the way, about ERL's performance, they did race down in Season 1 of the Legacy Division. They finished 9th overall with 47 points. So they were considered back in Season 1 to be a bit of a backmarker. They didn't actually qualify in Season 2, so now they're moving to look to qualify for Season 3. The question is what are their targets? I'd be interested to sort of hear what Michael and the rest of the team are sort of thinking about looking towards ERL's performances, because of course they ended up having a bit of a rocky sort of F1 21, and then going into 22 they were well off the pace, and they were looking to try and get back towards the front, considering where they were back in like 2018, I think it was, where they were towards the front winning big championships. So this is going to be a really good setting stone here. If they could potentially be in that fight, even if they don't consider themselves to be front runners, they're going to be in that sort of position to think, right, we've got our name out there. Can we be potentially a midfield runner and then sort of build towards the front again? And of course, look at the likes of FER as well, James, actually. You mentioned a good point. Really quick drivers there as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I was going to jump in there, and I totally apologise for that. But yeah, ERL, I think, are looking to try and get to the glory days once again. I mean, they were 9th in Legacy Division Season 1, so they have got form. They've got proven form there as well. Whether or not their pace lives up to what we saw in Season 2 with the likes of PSR, TF, and OP, who were already qualified, of course, as the top 3 teams from last season in WOR Legacy Division, and the 7 teams that are going to qualify come from the 24 teams that you are seeing tonight, which is going to be very much interesting. ERL, though, as I say, they're looking to try and get back to their glory days. I think they've got their work cut out, honestly. The likes of FER and WOR, and certainly SLRT, they've really gained momentum, I think, throughout their seasons, throughout my commentary career as well. Certainly from an FER standpoint, the Spanish team, I mean, they were formed in 2019. They're in the McLaren. They've got Stefano and Guillen, who arguably, I think, 2 of their quickest drivers in their rosters, coming up tonight. And I'm very confident that I'm at least going to get one prediction right and say, and I'm going to say it now, FBR are going to qualify in this lobby, and you're going to see it within lobby 2.
Well, they're going to be sort of competing with the likes of NLR's sort of performances. We were looking at 16.8. 16.8 has not been a particularly quick last lap time. We know it isn't round here, so we're going to be thinking about sort of the 16.6s to think that you're potentially in a real shout of getting through. NLR's obviously main driver managed to do that. We're not too long away now, only 30 seconds now from the next lobby. So moving forward, you're saying FVR are going to be towards the front, so we're going to be expecting 16.6s from them, yeah?
I think we will. I'm even going to say 16.5 potentially from Mr. Stefano, who is, of course, a PSGL, or formerly PSGL PSF1 driver.
All right, fair enough. If that's what you're predicting, I'm looking forward to seeing all of these drivers getting themselves out there. I'm especially looking forward towards SLR as well. Previous team managed to finish, they finished at the bottom, unfortunately, of Season 2, but we're certainly looking forward to seeing what we've got coming up there as well. So a quick reminder of who we've got coming up then in Lobby 2. It's SLRT, it's FGE, it's GSR, WOR, FVR, and of course ERL, looking to get qualified in through the season ahead of us, as the drivers now have got 18 minutes worth of running to get their team in on that possibility of winning up to nearly £3,000 worth of prizes. Of course, £1,000 prize pool and that £1,900 rig, courtesy of our co-sponsors of this event in Next Level Racing. The drivers are now just getting themselves, or deciding what tyres to go for. Of course, they're expecting the softer compound of tyres. They want to have all the softs available at their disposal to use in this 18-minute lobby, as FVR is just deciding on that one. So, quick look as well, of course, while those drivers are readying up as well at what we've got coming up as well in relation to the standings. Look at the lobby we've got here. 24 teams all ready and raring to go to try and fight out with the defending champions in PSR, Talent Factory, and Outplayed Racing, finished in the top 3 last season, automatically qualify. So those 24 below have all got to qualify for this event, as the drivers are all now out and ready and raring to go. We have got a extended coverage of this qualifying, of course, with another 2 lobbies following on from this one. James, you're looking forward to FVR, and it looks like FVR immediately setting their drivers out.
They are indeed, yes. Stefano and Guillen are going to be first, well, not the first actually coming out on track. I believe it is Yaran who's going to be the first man out on track, apart from, of course, along with Halo, and I need to find out which team they are part of. I believe they're part of FGE, if I'm not mistaken. Grid Esports team, they formed in 2020, Xbox based side, of course. Their first time, I think, qualifying in WRLD as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. Yaran is one of the first men out on track, along with the Alfa Romeo of WR Fraser, who was going to be very much an interesting driver to watch out for. Previously part of my organisation and PGS, so he is going to look very, very much interesting in terms of that. I look forward to seeing how he gets on in his new home, of course, at WR. Absolutely no quarrels that I've got from my end, certainly with him leaving PGS, but he is a very good driver, a solid driver on his day. Urem also alongside WOR Esports, and they're looking to try and get toward the top end of the field, certainly. From 16.5 minutes to go, and Lobby 2 just about to kick off, we are now really going to truly see how far the drivers can go and how far the teams can go. And no matter what result, these 24 teams, you should be proud that you're even qualifying in the first place, because let me tell you, us sitting here in the comment box, I wouldn't have the bottle to qualify for an event like this.
No, I wouldn't either, to be honest with you. These drivers are... I barely got the bottle to commentate on events like this one, to be honest with you, as well. But here we are on this one. As it looks like Fraser is going to be the first person to set a lap time then for WOR in their all too familiar Alfa Romeo colours that we are familiar to see WOR Esports driving in this particular tournament anyway. And they continue racing in the Alfa Romeo Kick Formula 1 team liveried car, heading through into turn number 2 then for Fraser. Wider entry. We've seen a few people tend to go for the wider entry and have the closer apex, going through into turn 3 and then into turn 4. First sector 1 lap time, then 27.135, fastest of course of those that set a lap, but immediately beaten by the Mercedes in ERL. It looks like Matija. I'll leave you to pronounce that one, James. I'm not going to have a go at that. As he goes through then through and out of the complex of corners, then into the left and then the right-hander. Keep it close to the white line as you can, and he is pushing out there, is Fraser, actually looking like a relatively decent lap time. Oh, he is keeping it planted actually through that corner there, and a 53.7, good immediate second sector from Fraser.
Yeah, 3 tons up on what we're seeing actually in Lobby 1, so this is looking very quick from the WOR perspective from Fraser. Certainly he ran also behind him. Oh, he has to avoid a little bit of the curb there through turn 13 and actually get put off slightly by the shadow on the top of the bridge going over the top. As Fraser now comes to the line, a 15.5, that is not going to be representative at all towards the end of the session. That mistake cost him at least, I think, 2 tenths per second to Fraser. Should have been a 15.3, now a 15.5. He can try and qualify, of course. We've got the likes, of course, of Stefano, who's out there, has fired Dolphin goals. It's 15.3, but here comes Stefano coming through the final couple of corners for FBR. We'll see what the McLaren man can do, and already put them out of the water with a 15.2. But these drivers, honestly, are sending slightly slower lap times than we saw in Lobby 1, which I think is going to be very interesting and might just put the weather into perspective. It's all clear weather, but there is slightly more cloud, I've got to say, in this lobby than there was in Lobby 1.
Bartek Fra's teammate has decided not to carry on with that lap time, has immediately come into the pit lane. So it will be Bartek Fra that will start his first, will be the first lap time for the Mercedes liveried ERL team, as we're just on board with Duran in the Williams, looking to try and keep it as close as he possibly can to the apexes, but unfortunately invalidating his lap time on this occasion. So nothing going to be coming through for Duran on this particular occasion, as we've just got Guillen for FVR also on an outlap as well. So plenty of lap times coming in, but they're not very quick in this second lobby at the moment. So we are expecting ERL probably to be the first team to set something representative at the moment through Bartek Flava, the consistent runner that he is, and been with ERL for a very long time as Bartek actually. So this is a real opportunity for the senior man himself to get on the go here, and they're going through turn 1 and looking like he's immediately pushing, actually trying to avoid the curbs as much as he can. Going through turn 2, he's going to go for the wider apex, he's going to go for the closer one, and it's his I think he was attempting to go for the close one, but unfortunately missing his apex ever so slightly, taking a lot of curb though through 3, and then going into 4 with an sector 1 time initially of a 27.0. He is fastest of anyone so far.
He is. Simbarox, for comparison, was a 27.2 in the first sector. He's a 53.7 in the middle sector, just ahead of him out on track at this stage. We'll see what Bartek as well does. I think by the time Simbarox gets around to the final corner, he is going to be through that middle sector split. And Simbarox now comes through the final couple of corners. Bartek as well. He's coming up toward the middle sector split. So I'll look in terms of comparison in terms of this lap. Bit slow, actually, coming through. And a 53.6. He's lost time in that middle sector. Simbarox goes second, 15.270. Where is Bartek now going to go with this lap? It looks as if he's gone a little bit half-committed, I've got to say, in the final part of this lap. Coming through this final sector, he's lost a little bit of all confidence, to be honest, in the car. The Mercedes now coming through the final corner, very much tight to the line. There. He's going to go, I think, maybe ahead of Fire Dolphin. Oh, he goes quickest, wow. 15.208. Good lap from him. But I've got to say, there's a lot of time to be found on that lap. I don't think he was pushing in that final sector at all. Yeah, no one's confident out there at the moment. I must admit, he was looking okay in the second sector and in the first sector, certainly fastest of anyone. But that third sector was actually appalling, to be honest with you, considering the first and the second sectors that he'd set versus everyone else. It was actually not that comparable, so maybe a little bit of sandbagging initially from Bartek Fla. We're expecting at least a 40, maybe into the 14s from him. We'll see though anyway, as his teammate goes onto the grass. Big tank slapper and a big bit oversteering moment for him, and he now has completely lost that lap time altogether. It's the last thing ERL need. They've got one quick driver in and one driver that can't find his consistency. He abandoned his first lap and he's abandoning this one as well. SLR Nico also on a lap as well. He's just heading through the first sector split himself here, as he's going to be coming across the line right now to set
his first initial lap time of 27.2 in the first sector, but that is going to be a track extension and a cancellation of that particular lap, despite the lap there, but you can see there he has immediately abandoned it on this occasion as the ERL teammate to Bartek Fraf, 17.1, obviously not a representative lap time from him.
Yeah, definitely not. Nico running so far wide. I don't know how that's still a valid lap, to be honest. He has backed off, though, in that middle sector. We haven't got anybody, I don't think, on a lap. Tigier is just starting up on another one, but he's barely got any ERS left to go on another one. 17.142, definitely not representative of what he can do, I'm sure. HRX there in the chat saying, I used to rule the world, I only know 3 people in this lobby. What's changed? I don't know what's changed, to be honest. I don't know who you are either, but it is going to be very much interesting in terms of the racing out on track as well. But Bartek Fraf out on top from Stefano in second, Simbarox there in third. But we'll have to wait and see. In terms of Season 1, by the way, where some of these drivers actually competed in terms of the racing, ERL especially, Otis Lawrence absolutely dominated. FRA, of course, took the top step in Season 1. PSO, of course, in Season 2. But with that, as Matichier is going slightly quicker in that middle sector, with that, ERL, 9th position with Season 1 with 47 points. They're looking to try and get toward the top end of the field. But given how Otis Lawrence was in for Season number 1, I think they're probably glad to see the back end of them, to be honest.
You've got PGS James Head handing an L to the audience on your bingo card. Tick it off now, because that was delicious, actually. I don't know who you are. Wow, okay. FRA Joran, I'm taken back by that, I must admit. FRA Joran is currently on a lap at the moment himself. Of course, the former FRA man himself. I think a lot of people tend to carry the FRA tag with them. As WR Fraser, no surprises, now going fastest of anyone so far. He's looking very sharp out there at the moment, is the WR man. It's unfortunate, though, his teammate is over 2 seconds slower than him at the moment. He's currently heading through the second sector, actually, is Jerem at the moment, as we've got Joran now coming across the line here. Yeah. Stefano coming across the line with a 15.0s. Here come the lap times then. Joran comes across the line now. Joran, be happy. 15.0 at the moment for the Williams runner and goes fastest of anyone so far, as SLR Nico comes across the line, and it's a 15.3 for him at the moment. GSR both sitting drivers in the 15.3 and 15.4s respectively, but so far lap times coming in at the moment are very irrespective and quite significantly slower than Lobby 1, as Jeren comes across the line, and it's only a 16.5 for the WR runner. WR are going to be wondering if they've fielded the right drivers for this qualifier tonight, because one is significantly faster than the other by just over by under 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. So, when looking at the comparison to Lobby 1 as well, Lobby 1 definitely switched on a lot earlier, I think, in terms of the lap times. I mean, we've still got less than half the session still to go in this qualifying session. But you ran out on top, Stefano second, Fraser in third. Put it into this perspective. Ruti, I think, set a 14.5, if I'm not mistaken. You ran on a 15 flat, and we're already halfway in the session. These teams, honestly, this is quite surprising, I think, from my perspective, because no team is making a break for it. They're all around the same pace as each other, and they're all in trouble. And that is the worst possible thing about it. You do not want to be in trouble in Lobby 2. There's somebody going to have to come out of the doldrums, basically, and try and get good lap time on the board. Urem is not going to be that man. He's down in that middle sector. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody on lap. Halo is on a lap, actually, for FGE. He's now coming to the right-hand return, number 9. He's 200 down out the first sector, but he's got a big market improvement on a 15.717 to try and improve. That's more like it, though, in the middle sector, 53.759, but it is nowhere near what we're seeing, where Ruti was doing 53.1s, 53.2s in that middle sector. This is not great from the Lobby 2, guys, and every single team that you see right now is in some form of trouble, whether you like it or not, as Halo now comes to the final couple of corners for FGE on the run toward the line as he goes 5th, and that's more like it from the Williams team. FGE looking to try and qualify. You ran out on top, Halo there in 5th, so they'll be very happy with their result and how they stand, but they've still got to improve. And
just looking at the number 7 Red Bull of Simbarox 1, that's the SLR team, looking relatively okay in the first sector, improving ever so slightly, but then a big tank slapper going through the right-hander, and he's actually just chosen immediately to abandon that lap, so he calls it quits on this one. But you're absolutely right, everybody at the moment in Lobby 2 is at serious risk here. There may be a fastest loser effectively here, maybe getting the 10th place if all the other lobbies begin to struggle, but we are expecting some heavy hitters later on in the Lobby 3 and Lobby 4, including the likes of Parnell, who at one point I thought were just going to miss out, but I think possibly might even just squeak in now with the likes of Team Valor. And then here with Bartek Fra, purple in the second sector despite setting a slower second sector than his previous previous best. So interesting stuff on that front here as he now goes through into the final couple of corners. Very wide exit actually out of 13 and then into 14 here for the Mercedes as he tries to keep it nice and tidy. Will he be able to improve on his current lap time? 15.273. He's down 65 thousandths of a second, but his teammates beating him though with a 15.1. So ERL now within close proximity of each other, but yet the lap times are not really coming together for them with just over 5.5 minutes to go here. The teams at the moment are going to be having to ask the question of their drivers, can you find any more pace here? We need at least 3/10 from the fastest runners here if they want to have any possibility of qualifying.
Yeah, we see Fire Dolphin as well, just coming across the line to go 7. Not a bad lap there at all, 15.266. He did swim his way up to 7th. That is a very bad put on my part. Urana on top, though. Stefano in 2nd. Fraser there in 3rd. Nobody is making a break for it, though. Matigier going 4th there as well. ERL are probably looking the safest, I think, of all the teams right now. Because they're in 4th and 5th, and they're setting pretty much a very much bang average lap time of 15.18 something. I think it's going to be on average in terms of their two drivers. He 6/10 down in the middle sector is Bartek Fra. Fraser 15.150. Just going on to lap. Stefano just going on to lap as well. And that's more like it from Stefano in the first sector. 27.106. Fastest out of everyone in the first sector from what we've seen so far. As you ran out on top, Stefano there in 2nd. Fraser there in 3rd. Bell Roffick's there in the chat, by the way. Been watching your videos in terms of the league racing lineups. Hopefully everything going well on your end. And maybe a bit of content coming from Legacy Division, I hope, in the next episode, which will be coming next week. As Stefano now comes in towards the right-hander of turn number 11. Good Stefano, turn. That is more like it. Brilliant. 53.4 in the middle sector.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant through that that right-hander. That's really set himself out for the 2nd sector, but it's going to be important that he doesn't end up spooking himself with the shadow of the bridge, and I must admit, perfectly. Going through into turn 14, we're going to eventually see now our first 14 of the block. The question is how far into the 14s is he going to be? 14.860. So we're now starting to see him come in with the last few minutes on the clock here, and this is going to be critical now for some of these drivers if they want to try and get their teams to qualify here. SLR certainly at risk, their fastest driver with only a 15.2, just about to start his laps now in the first sector. He goes to Simba Rocks 1, and with that DRS open, he's going to be approaching turn 2, turn 3 and 4 with caution, because it is critical now that they look towards the lower 14s, and it is the higher 14s with the lower 15s currently on the blocks at the moment, and again, doesn't look like he's managed to put the power down that early through 3 into 4. He's only 19 thousandths up, and he's invalidated.
He has invalidated. That is disappointing from an SLRT perspective. There goes one of my predictions, I think, completely out the window in terms of qualification. Of course, Lobby 3 and Lobby 4 may be slower than this. You never know what can happen. We are just literally preempting everything, I think. But it was still 3 minutes to go in the session. I feel like we've been in Lobby 2 for absolutely ages. It still hasn't reached the end of the session. We've seen so much on-track action out of these guys. Jerem as well is coming from the first sector. 27.2. Nearly invalidates coming out of turn number 4 in towards the right-hand of turn number 5. Sam as well was invalid through the middle sector on his lap. So GSR not looking great at this stage, even though they have got their Fire Dolphin in 7th position. As Uram now comes in towards the right-hander of turn number 9. Of course, Mr. Dan Screen, famously running the WOR Esports PS. I'm not sure if he's still a part of the team. Certainly proved a part of the Legacy Division last season. And a 54.3. I mean, I'm not being serious, and I'm going to take it a bit out of context. I could potentially go quicker than that in the middle sector. This is not looking great from the WR perspective at this stage. Fraser there in 3rd is going to give them a big chunk, potentially get them towards the top, but Urem is so far off the pace. I don't know what is going to happen in terms of this lap. Urem's for line 16th lap. That's more like it in terms of his lap, but 4.5 tenths improvement. He's 7 tenths of a second off Sam. WOR, even though they were in number 2 in season 2 of WOR Legacy Division, I think certainly they're not going to be in season 3.
If you've got James also highly criticising the drivers as well as the audience on your bingo card, feel free to check that one off. I've never heard that before in my life, I must admit. As FER Gian is now just going through on his outlap at the moment. Critical stuff now for Gian here, because his teammate is fastest, and fastest by quite a bit of a distance now between him and Duran. And Hungry Like the Wolf is Duran at the moment. He needs to find in 14s where he can at the moment, because FRA Duran is obviously going to be on the brink of potentially helping the qualification of his teammate, but his teammate also, like FVR, struggling at the moment in the 15-2s, so needs to find at least 4 or 5 tenths here, does Gian, if he wants to have any possibility of helping FVR qualify, as your prediction says here, James, as he now comes across to start his lap now, and it is a critical lap indeed, because this is his one and only shot.
He is normally a one-lap wonder, though, is Gian, as he comes in for the right-hand turn number 1. I've seen him qualify around this track, and trust me, he is quick when he gets a lap together, as Gian now comes down the hill into the left-hander of turn number 2, famously where Hamilton, of course, went off in 2014, I'm tempted to say, or 2015, as now comes through the right-hander of turn number 3, up the hill now and towards turn number 4. Stefano 27-1 on the first sector, 27 flat in the first sector. Nearly invalidates, though, coming out of turn number 4, very tight to curb, now out through 5, and Gian is looking very much solid on this lap so far. First part of the lap over and done with. Now the second part. Driver getting out of the way to the right-hand side is one of the Williams. Now comes through the right-hander of turn number 9, and this is looking more like it from FBR. This is what I want if the prediction is going to go through on my end, certainly, as Gian now comes through this middle sector split, and that is lightning quick again. 53.529 in the middle sector. He's up there with Stefano in that middle sector. Some Shoto second. FBR looking to try and get on the board as Bartek Fra comes absolutely out of nowhere with a 14.849. Very good lap time from the ERL man, looking to try and put them on the board. Matigier had invalidated his first run. Gian very wide coming out the final corner, on the run to the line, and he goes 4th.
Yeah, it's only 15-0 though, and I think Stefano is going to be looking a little bit faster, though. He's down 44 thousandths of a second in the first sector. Looks like a bit of a poor turn 2 by the looks of things, according to my mini sector splits anyway, as they now go through into the right-hander here. Stefano is trying his hardest to try and find at least a 14-7 to give FVR the possibility of a qualification here. Guillen's 15-0 may be enough, but he's down, though fastest in the second sector. He's down on his personal best at the moment as he goes through into the left-hander of turn 13. Needs to find that apex. He may have just missed it ever so slightly. Could cost him dearly as he goes through that right-hander of 14. Such a critical corner for him. He's going to have to put the power down as early as he possibly can. 14.7 is what he's going to look for. He does go fastest of anyone by 6 thousandths of a second versus Bartek Vla, but it won't be the 14.7 on this occasion here, as Duran is not going to be improving anytime soon on his lap, as Matigier coming across the line as well with a 15.0 and puts ERL potentially on the brink of qualification, albeit towards the back for certain as it stands at the moment. But Lobby 1 certainly was the fastest of all of them here, as Simbarox 1 is fastest in the second sector, comes across the line, third fastest for SLRT with a 14.997 and breaching the 15s and into the 14s he goes, and that is critical for Simbarox 1. His teammate on the other hand can't get there, and it's only a 15.3, and Gian as expected will not improve. It will be a 15.0, but look how close it is in Lobby 2, and that is going to be again another question of the hundredths and the thousandths for qualification as it stands. But certainly ERL are definitely the favourites between the two drivers, are the fastest, but it is FVR leading the way at the moment, but only 6 thousandths of a second. Guillen's lap time may be detrimental for FVR's qualification chances. We can only see what Lobby 3 and 4 is going to bring.
Yeah, definitely so. ERL coming in there with Matigier going 5th position as well. Halo was looking very good in the middle sector. 53.5 he said in the middle sector. Unfortunately for him, all the way down toward the back end of the field, and that is so unfortunate, I think. He's down there in 7th position. Did improve in terms of his lap, or 9th position, I think, in the end. For him, as we now get towards the end of qualifying, which means that I've got to now jump out my seat and take the race director for every single driver. So if you mind going through the order, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I'll tell you what, I will talk about the top 2 though, because 5 thousandths of a second separating the fastest. FVR Stefano from Bartek Fra, Simbarox 1 for SLRT. 3rd place, great performance from him in the end. But Duran in 4th with Matigier in 5th. Sam is in 6th from Guillen. Fraser in the end in a lowly 8th place, considering how quick he is on has been around on this circuit. He'll be disappointed to be in 8th with a 15.1. It's Halo in 9th, sorry, from Fire Dolphin. SLR Nico will be disappointing lap time for Nico in the end to not be anywhere near Simbarox 1 from Jerem in 12th place. We'll go through then into Lobby 3 then. There's the expectations going into Lobby 3. There are your teams out there, and a couple of big hitters actually in BRT and Parnell Racing. And don't ever discredit Juventus Racing, of course, looking to come back for another season of racing. And now with a close relationship with Parnell Racing, they'll be hoping both of their teams can at least get through together. It's very, very Red Bull Alpha Tauri-esque between the partnership between them two.
Yeah, definitely. So Juventus Racing, I think, of course, changing their lineup recently. Baki is going to be in for Fleddy. Lars van der Linde is going to be in as well for Juventus Racing. Of course, Juventus were part of the Legacy Division Season 2. And they qualified in the end. They finished 7th with 79 points to their name. Of course, Yossi, famously a part of that, now joining Talent Factory. So he is going to be a real miss, I've got to say, for Juventus going forward. So
Agreed.
they really need to get something, I think, moving forward in terms of the actual results. Parnell Racing, though, definitely the team to watch out for in this. This is the team that I think could be up there with the likes of Team Shazoo, fighting out in the mid-pack potentially for Legacy Division. They've got Ian, former driver of FVR, and Tyne in as well. So very, very decent driver in Tyne. Ian there alongside him as well. Their first time in qualifying for Legacy Division, which is going to be very good. IRS MTK also in this, along with BRT, who are going to be very interesting. They were part, of course, of Season 1, and they finished in 8th position, 49 points to their name. As I'm going to just quickly join the lobby, and everything should hopefully go hunky-dory as we get into Lobby 3.
As we hopefully go so, we can have a look at the predictions again, once again. I believe, and both me and Luke both have exactly the same lineups as what we believe the 7 qualifying teams will be. But we both believe BRT and Parnell will qualify from this lobby, and they're both in competition with each other. So it's a pretty critical lobby here for our predictions, that's for certain, anyway, on that one. And obviously, you've got Parnell in your predictions as a qualifier as well. So that's one thing, the one team that we all agree on between all the 5 of the predictions that you see on your screen is Parnell will qualify for this event here. And of course, they have got one very critical driver on their side, actually, in none other than Smokey, I believe, leaving the team at the top of PSR and then going to Parnell. Now, obviously, he has his own ambitions moving forward for Parnell, but he won't be part of this particular event tonight. Parnell obviously fielding their own individual drivers. I'm sure that you'll obviously go through in just a few short moments, as you actually did very early, actually, on that one. But you know, it's going to be an interesting one looking forward here as we skip over to the cameras so you can see our faces ahead of this event. It is going to be an interesting one because we've now got, obviously, Parnell in there now. They've got all 5 of us predict that they'll go through. Question is, though, in comparison with the likes of Lobby 1, we're going to be in that position, aren't we, where, you know, Lobby 2 wasn't particularly quick here, so they've been very aware of that. They're very aware of that. So if they could be faster than Lobby 2 and be competitive with Lobby 1, they know where to target now, and this is where they get that advantage.
They do, and I think, obviously, the comparison between Lobby 1 and Lobby 2, we've seen the difference from the teams, certainly, in terms of what we've seen from Lobby 2 in terms of the comparison of the pace, certainly. This should be up there with, I think, the quickest lobbies that we've got, certainly, of tonight. We've got the likes of Juventus Racing and BRT looking to try and qualify, of course, which is going to be very, very interesting. The Bunga fans are also out there in chat as well for the Bunga Racing team, or the Bunga Racing team, which is coming, I believe, in Lobby 4, if I'm not mistaken,
no,
one of the 70.
Are
they in Lobby 3?
I've got BRT in Lobby 3. At the moment, and they are very, very excited for this one because I think we've got Murphy in there with Gabba tonight in this one. So they're very, very quick drivers, are BRT, and I did actually say I think these would be a team that would qualify as well for the season ahead of us as well. So I'm putting all my money on Gabba for some good laps here, so please do me a favour and agree with me on this one, BRT, and help me out on that one, as the drivers are now going to be getting themselves ready. They are now on the track and ready and raring to go. James, you know, they've got you know, a couple of lobbies now. This is their advantage. They've got being in Lobby 3. They now know where their targets are. Obviously, massive advantage for those in Lobby 4, but Lobby 3 is a good opportunity to sort of put pressure on Lobby 4 whilst knowing what they've got to score for here.
Yeah, definitely so. And obviously, we haven't mentioned ET8 either. ET8 are in this lobby as well. Sam Gamer and Mateo are going to be their drivers for tonight, and I am looking forward to seeing how Sam Gamer gets on, considering his performance last night, of course, in PSGL, PSF1. If you didn't watch that, go and watch that. I was on commentary, so I'm giving a little bit of self-promotion to me, but also a bit of self-promotion to this guy right here, Sam Gamer, because he did a fantastic job in qualifying in Britain, took pole position, ended up a little bit down the field in terms of the race, but Sam's still a very good driver to watch out for. ETA maybe look a shoe-in, I think, to qualify along with Parnell in this lobby. I'm going to go through quickly my predictions. I'll get them up on my end. I've gone for I'm just trying to find them because I put them somewhere. FER G League, Nexus Racing, Parnell Racing, Chazoo, Summit League Racing Team, SLRT, and TF10. So Parnell Racing I've got in. I haven't got ETA in, which is going to be interesting, and I feel bad for them now, considering Matteo is actually in their lineup, and he is already crowned, of course, Esports Masters League champion with ETA.
Yeah, and I think Matteo is going to be the key. Obviously, Sam Gamer, great driver in general, and no discredit to him, of course, but Matteo, I think he's probably going to be the leading driver of the pair of them going into this event here, as Sam Gamer is going to be the first driver on the field to have a go, actually, in this Lobby 3 session. Of course, they were seeing the low 15s was what the likes of ERL were facing for, so if they can aim for the upper 14s, they've got a real good shout of potentially qualifying for this one, as the number 12 Williams now heading through turn 1, not hitting his apex and getting a bucket load of oversteer, which is not the initial way to get going in this event here for Sam Gamer, as he now goes through into the left-hander. So a wider entry through there as well, so not exactly what they're looking for through that one. Going through turn 3 then into turn 4, and the first initial sector 1 lap times 27.2. It's quite comparable with the likes of Lobby 2 initially towards the end of the qualifying. So initially out of the blocks here, it looks like Lobby 3 could be relatively quick as he goes into these. He absolutely hammers these set of corners, doesn't he? Through there, as he now tries to keep it on the road through the next right-hander. Does so very cleanly indeed. And then, of course, this is where it's all make or break through this right-hander. Takes the wider entry to have the wider exit. Very quick. 53.7 initially, though, for the Williams.
Yeah, slightly quicker than what we were seeing in Lobby 2. He's looking to try and obviously qualify towards the top end of the field. ET8, as I say, maybe look at shoe-in, but this is going to be so close, this lobby. I can guarantee you this now. Of course, with the likes of Parnell Racing in as well. FER Ian is not FER Ian, by the way. He is part of Parnell. Sam Gamer on the run to the line, 15.133 to start off the night. We've got Fresh now coming through the final couple of corners in the Aston Martin, and the Alpine, sorry, coming through the final couple of corners. Lars van der Linden going there in second. Fresh there going in fourth, and Gabble coming in for BRT. 14.9. Silvio Berlusconi, rest in peace. The former Italian president will be getting bunga bunga time.
Oh, wow.
Certainly as Murphy now goes quickest from Gabble in second.
Oh, wow.
And now Ian goes quickest with a 14.804. And this is what I said earlier on about the lap times being set, about this being potentially the closest lobby out there. Certainly is. Ian out on top, Murphy in second, Gabble in third. And I'm going to take that bunga bunga comment back before Silvio Berlusconi comes back to haunt me.
I mean, that's absolutely astonishing. First set of laps coming in this qualifying session for Lobby 3. We've got the top two separated by even less, 4 thousandths of a second, with Parnell leading the way with that 14.8. And remember, it's only a 14.9 for Tidjane as well. So Parnell immediately shining a light on potential qualification here. They could end up potentially qualifying one of the fastest runners as well in this one initially. If we're getting 14.8 and 14.9 with 13 minutes left in this lobby at the moment. We've got 2 drivers yet to set a lap time. They invalidated Artem and IRS's Thomas. Did not set a lap time on that particular occasion, so they'll be hoping to set something conservative on the next occasion and then obviously go for that faster lap on the final run. But initially out of the blocks, what a set of lap times from Parnell and from BRT.
Yeah, very, very good lap times indeed. Fresh there, 16.9. MTK going to be up against it, to be honest, I think, in terms of their performances in other league events. Of course, they've recently been established, I think, of MTK. Artem there, down 11th. Fresh there in 10th, looking a little bit under the cosh. IRS as well, along with for Thomas. Nitzy is also the driver alongside him, I believe, there in 9th position, 15.767 to his name so far. But yeah, Ian out on top, Murphy in second, Gabble there in third. There is a little bit of beef going on from FER Stefano there in the chat. Of course, former FER teammate in Ian is towards the top end of the standings, and I don't think he's too impressed by the man that is currently sitting there in P1. But I'm sure it's all fair in love and war, and hopefully the drivers do improve as the laps go on. But a 14.8 for Banker, we're going to see on pars in terms of Lobby 1 in terms of the lap times. We should see 14.5, 14.6 towards the end of the session. It should be very, very close indeed, and the spreadsheet is getting updated as we speak. We've got access to that, I believe, so I'm going to get that up in the background while we wait for the drivers to come back out on track. Sam Gamer once again is the first man to go for a second run.
I'm going to let you do all of the math things at the moment, because honestly it bores me, doing math. So I'll leave you to find the results of that one as we take another look as all the drivers are just going on outlaps again at what we've got predictions-wise, because, it's pretty clear at the moment that the BRT PR combination was pretty good between me and Luke on that one, because they are absolutely blisteringly quick, setting a 14.8 and a 14.9 respectively, as banker laps is scary to say the least. So this is going to be a blisteringly quick set of lap times coming in, I think, from those runners here, as outlaps now starting to begin for the second runs on this one here. You were absolutely right though in saying, people in the chat actually saying, how are you in any way, shape or form undermining the quality of Sam Gamer Official? He is a quick driver, around here. Obviously, you're closer to the PlayStation game than from what I am, but from my understanding of Sam Gamer, Hungary is not one of his best, from what I'm aware of. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. If I am wrong, please tell me. But, he is blisteringly quick with that 15.1, but he needs to find at least another couple of tenths.
He does, yeah. 15.1. Hungary is not one of his favourite tracks. You're totally right with that. And I mean, he qualified pole position at Silverstone yesterday, PSGL PSF1. And Sam is a very, very decent driver. We'll see what his lap is going to be. He's on much fresher tyres now, so we'll see. As again, that oversteer coming out of turn number 1 just cost him about half a tenth going down in towards the first sector, now in towards the left-hand of turn number 2. And again, opting to take the wide line, maybe on the exit. There is a slight bump coming through turn number 3. Negotiates that very nicely indeed. Sam Gamer in this first sector is a 27.1, so he's 300 up, improving. Runs wide there slightly through 4, but very nicely done. As now comes through in toward the right-hand of turn number 5 once again. It's Ian Adam top, Murphy in second, Gabor in third. BRT looking good so far in terms of qualification for Lobby 2, but of course there's still 10 minutes to go in this session. Ads there saying in the chat, only 2 out of 5 is an abomination. Sam Gamer invalidates coming out of turn number 9, unfortunate for him, and that is the level of inconsistency that we see as he nearly goes off into the wall coming out of turn number 11 as well. This is the inconsistency that I've seen time and time again with Sam Gamer when I've commentated on him. Once he's good, he's very good, but once he's bad, he doesn't know when to, in terms of like invalidating the laps. He lives in his own head sometimes, and it's that mentality, I think, that just holds him back from really releasing his full potential.
I'm just having a look at Matteo at the moment. His teammate, he's had an absolute flyer in the second sector, and really confident all of a sudden in that Williams here. And I'm wondering if he's heard the message of how can one, discredit the likes of Sam Gamer, as Gabba goes fastest with a 14.5 as Matteo comes across the line now, and he goes 0.3 of a second faster than his previous occasion, which I think is all attributed to that second sector. What a lap time indeed, as Bakke for the McLaren team of Juventus Racing going 6th fastest. 15 zeros for them, by the way, while this is all happening here. So Juventus are cooking something up a little bit here. Just keep an eye out on those 2 McLarens. But as it stands at the moment, still coming in lap times at the moment from FVR is Ian coming across the line with a 14.7. But BRT's Gabba, what a lap time with over 8.5 minutes to go. He's putting in 14.5s. What a lap time from Bunga Racing Team. They are going to be smiling from ear to ear at the moment.
And they're going to be top in the standings, I think, in terms of average theory, in terms of their lap times right now. For Murphy, I'm making a 14.6 something in terms of their lap time. Probably around a 16.6, 16.7, I think, in terms of their lap time. Or a 114.6 is what I should say. About a 6.6 or 6.7 in terms of their lap time so far. Bakke there is 2 seconds down in his middle sector, so he's actually not on a lap at this stage. Matteo there, he looked really good, I've got to say, on his lap. 15.2, though, was very underwhelming from what Matteo can do around this track. He gave ELT Kieran a very good fight around F1 Esports Masters League last season, so he'll be looking to try and get up there. Artem as well coming on board for the Alpine, going there in 9th position, 15.483, so he's looking quite good in terms of lap time. But as I said earlier on, regardless of how your team does, you should just be proud, I think, of what they're showing out on track. You're getting the platform, and we're giving you that platform here in Legacy Division, and there's not many team events that do that these days, I've got to say. And hopefully your team will do you proud, will do everyone that is involved in your community proud, and hopefully do all of these guys as viewers proud as well, which are 190 of you currently in the chat. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for tuning in. If you are liking the stream, like, comment, subscribe, tick the notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel, and of course you can check out the links in the description, including our partners of GRIDFINDER and Next Level Racing, and all of the info there is in the description, as well as the creators music that we use for the introductions, which is very, very nice indeed. Sam Gamer, that waltzing Canadian, looking to try and spread a little bit of magic here in Hungary as he comes down towards turn number 1 again.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Thomas as well. Of course, he's on his outlap. Sam Game will be the first of the next runners now to set their... this is a penultimate set of laps. I think that will be coming in here as I'm just checking off now my full house card now on the bingo card of James. Now doing the classic YouTube intros and outros as well. So thank you very much for that one. I'm now 50 quid up. We're going Sam Gamer now into the first sector now. Oh, 27-0. So cracking. Oh, what a tank slapper. And drifting around turn 4. Good lap and good, well held. Not the fastest way around that corner, though, as he then goes through the right and left-hander. He is pushing so hard at the moment, is Sam Game. He's got to be careful not to overload and overheat the tyres. If turn 4 has got anything to go by, we might be in for a little bit of a tumultuous lap here. He keeps it green, though, and he's going to go through the right-hander now. Not as keen on the corner, though, but he will go a tenth and a half up in there. So he is looking quicker. He might get into the 14.9s here as it stands at the moment, but I think that first corner, as Matteo gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking, so that one may be investigated by the stewards later down the line, of course, if it was indeed him blocking another driver on a fast lap. Here comes then Sam Gamer, comes across the line now. It is only a 15-0 from Sam Gamer on this occasion, but I must admit that drift round turn 4 certainly cost him a lot of time on that front here, as Matteo may be in trouble then for the team in the Williams livery, because, well, if he did illegally block someone, it's certainly going to be sent to the stewards.
He will, but it is a known glitch actually within the game for illegal blocking. So Matteo, I think, is going to get that one removed. His lap time is going to stay valid, I think. Even regardless, of course, there is no race, so that 5-second penalty technically doesn't apply because there is no race as Matteo comes into the left-hander turn number 2. He's just preparing up for his lap, actually coming to the right-hander now through 3. Gabor out on top, though, Ian in second. Murphy there in third, Tyne there in fourth. Matteo's first sector, 27 flat again. Up there with what we saw with Sam Gamer, but these guys should ideally be setting 26.8s, 26.9s, I think, in the first sector to really put the cat amongst the pigeons as Backy's looking quick. Lars van der Linde's getting blocked, actually, I think, coming to the right-hander return number 11, very wide through there, 53.5, but he gets a little bit of slipstream. That was unintentional from Sam Gamer, of all people. Sam Gamer invalidated his lap time. Lars van der Linde got a bit of slipstream, and the JR man now coming to the left-hander at turn 13 and into the right-hander at 14. That has gained him a bit of extra time. It's not, I don't think there's anything in the rules. The current cutoff, though, at this point, as Lars goes 5th, good lap time from him, 14.995. The current cutoff is a 150.198, and that is the combined lap times, I believe, of every single driver that is out there right now.
Interesting
stuff.
150,
I don't make head and sense of that.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I'll bear that one in mind moving forward on that one. But either way, we're expecting some lap times coming in now as we've got Tidjin now on a slow lap, as is Lars van der oh, you know, Lars, we'll go with that. Sam Gamer official 15-0, another 15.80 from Backy as well. 15-2 from Matteo, but he has got an illegal blocking warning on there as well. So whether the stewards have got something to review or whether it was just that he was slow and there was another slow car behind him, I don't know. But obviously take what that says with a pinch of salt. It makes no difference whether he gets a penalty or not, because the penalties are given by the stewards of the WOR League, not the game in this qualifier event. 3.5 minutes to go in this one. Nobody able to beat Gabba at the moment with that 14.590 as Tidjin obviously on that slow lap at the moment. I think we're expecting the rest of the drivers now to come in, and that will be the end of that one here, as actually it looks like BRT are sending a driver out very early indeed. It will be Murphy leaving the pits now, and he is a little bit out of sync versus everyone else here, looking to try and get closer to Gabba, and he's got a 14.8 as a banker, so 14.5 is what he's looking for. He'll definitely find at least a couple of tenths on a more grippier track. The question is can he be near his teammate, and can he make it a Bunga Racing Team 1-2 in lobby 3? Yeah,
you'd like to imagine so. I think how Tyne and Ian have been doing for Parnell Racing, I think that's definitely going to be the case. Murphy has looked very quick, I've got to say, throughout this session. Just in terms of the cut-off period, by the way, if you're in the full F1 Esports team right now, you're going to be absolutely sweating yourselves, because you are on that 1 minute 15.1 average time that has been set. Currently, can report, I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to divulge the information, but I'm sure I am. NLR is currently out on top from G League in second, and TGT are currently there in third, and there's about 0.4 of a second on average comparing to NLR and TGT, because obviously we're still in lobby 3. These times haven't been added yet. Luke is doing absolutely wonders, by the way, in the background, so give him a big shout out there in the chat and tell him I sent you to try and annoy him a little bit in lobby 3. As Murphy now comes through the left-hander of turn number 13, and he is going to go for one of the final runs, and he is going to be out of sync to everyone else, James, but he is going to be there in third position, 14.808. He is going to have one more crack, though, if he gets his lap time wrong.
He is absolutely right, James. And also, Gabba is also on a lap as well, because he's going to be the next person to set a lap time as he goes into turn 1. Oh, he absolutely nails his apex, does Murphy, as he goes through now out of turn 1, heading into turn 2. It's going to be a critical corner now, because he takes a lot of curb going into that, and he still hits his apex on that inside line. And he'll go around the right-hander, and he'll want to try and keep within the touching distance of Gabba in that first sector. Splits 27.005. He goes half a second. Half a tenth, faster in the first sector. Not the best turn 4, though. He'll certainly have lost maybe a tenth or so in that particular corner. Going through the right, then the left-hander. Not as aggressive like Sam Gamer. Sam really takes the left and the right and left-handers of that particular set of corners very aggressively indeed. Going through the left and then the right-hander. How much curb is he going to take here? A little bit of curb through there. Goes through the second sector. Split 2/10 up. And he said we were looking for something like a 14.6 for Murphy. 14.5 would be ideal. 14.4 on the other hand would absolutely blow the brains out of the commentators currently looking at his lap, as he now goes through the final couple of corners, through 13 and then into 14. An important lap coming in for BRT's Murphy here to really set a precedent in this corner. He comes across the line right now and sets exactly the same lap time as Gabba on that lap time with a 14.590, and that is a testament to the quality and to the consistency of Bunga Racing Team. They are cooking.
Parnell Racing that was responding. It is Ian up in the middle sector, 53.214 in that middle sector, looking lightning quick, purple out of everyone in that middle sector. So Ian coming alive for Parnell, Tyne as well. There's a 10.5 down. I think he's just starting up on his lap, going through turn number 1. As Ian now comes through the final couple of corners. Former FBR man, now part of Parnell Racing. Can Parnell spoil the party here in lobby 2? Yes, they can. 14.467. Huge lap from Ian. Brilliant lap time from him. Gabor there in second, doesn't need to improve. He's done enough. Murphy there in third. Tyne is up slightly in the first sector. He's slow coming through the right-hander turn number 5, however. We'll see what his lap time is doing. Lars van der Linden's middle sector is very good, 53.6. As Matteo goes fourth. And I did say he was a one-lap wonder, and he is there in fourth. Backy there now fourth as well. Sam Gamer is 800 down in the first sector.
Lars.
Thomas there leaving the session. Nitzy leaving the session there as well. And this is all getting a little bit tense and a little bit tetchy towards the end of the session. As everyone, I think, is done on their laps. Tyne is not improving. A 10.5 down. I think he's backed off, actually.
Yeah, that is it for a lot of these people. Sam Gamer looking to improve. He's down in the first sector, comes across the second sector split. He's up, though, a 10.5 and looking sharp here. He needs to be into the 14.9s here if he wants to be with Matteo and possibly give his team a real opportunity of qualifying here. Juventus Racing have finished, by the way, 14.8 and 14.9 respectively for them. Great lap times coming in from the team looking to be alongside Parnell this season in a really good co-compatriot way. Here comes Sam Gamer as he comes across the line. He beats his teammate with a 14.834. He is 0.05 of a second faster versus Juventus Racing, and that definitely puts his team in a touching distance of qualification. Great lap time from Sam.
It's going to put them ahead of FBR, I think, looking at the average. That hasn't been done yet on my screen, but I think they're ahead of FBR. On the bubble there in 7th position. Juventus Racing as well, potentially on the bubble as well. But I make that a 1:49.9 average in terms of the Williams times. Of course, Matteo's 5-second penalty will be added to, well, not added to the time at the end of the session, of course, but it is Ian out on top from Gabor there in second. Then in third, it is Murphy from Sam Gamer in fourth. Backy there in fifth, as I'm going to do my best impression of a photographer right now, as Backy there in fifth, Matteo in sixth, Tyne there in 7th, Lars van der Linden in 8th, Artem there in 9th, Nitzy and Thomas there in 10th and 11th. And I've got to be honest, wait until the end of the session because they caused quite a few issues with Tyne, I've got to say, on that lap. Certainly gave him a bit of a lag spike. Fresh there in 12th position as well. IRS are definitely out of it. And it seems like the Alpine team as well of MTK are certainly out of it as well. But Ian out on top, Gabor in second, Murphy there in third. Fantastic end to Lobby 3 and we've got potentially, arguably, the quickest of the lot coming up now.
And the thing is, as well, with 30 seconds to go, we could take a very brief look at what we've got coming up then with T. You're right, we're saying with Tian actually, with that 14-9. It's in any other lobby that had been pole position, but he's in 7th overall. So don't discredit the lap time, don't discredit the position, discredit the lap time in this scenario. A 14-9 versus a 14-4. Parnell are definitely in touching distance. BRT, you couldn't average that out any cleaner. 14-5-8-9 for both of them in that scenario is exactly what they are looking for. Looking forward to lobby 4 though, that's for certain, as we now have a look at what will be a 7-team lobby in this one. We've got NRX Novus, we've got the Euro Titans Esports team with TF10, we've got Future Racing team as well as Mercury Racing team, and of course the big Scottish team of themselves at Team Shazoo. We are in for a cracker now while we wait for that lobby though, ahead of time on that one. James, you know, we're in a serious bet here now with Lobby 3, because Lobby 3 was absolutely astonishing. Some of the fastest lap times I've seen around Hungary on the crossplay platform for certain coming in from Parnell. But BRT, that consistency is going to be massive if they qualify.
They are indeed. Hopefully people can still see me, by the way, in the darkness of my room.
You have to be a bit closer. You look like you might have to kiss the audience in order for us to see you, but we can just see you.
I will put my light on literally in like a couple of seconds or so. But yeah, I think Lobby 3 is going to be very, very interesting indeed. I would not be surprised if there's a few shocks coming out of Lobby 3. We've seen with Lobby 4, I should say, with Lobby 3 there, we saw how Juventus Racing won the bubble. We saw how FER won the bubble from Lobby 2 as well. They're currently sitting in that pretty spot in 7th position, I believe, in terms of the average. So we do get to see how these lap times are going to be. But looking at the lineup that we have got for these guys, let's just run through. NVR have got Amin and 2D in, which are very much an interesting pairing. We saw plenty of them last season in Legacy Division. Macho went along with Kazizzle to Shazoo. Very, very much an interesting pairing there as well. McLaren have got Liam Bowman and Axton, which are very much interesting. Andrea in for the Mercedes for ETE, and he is joined, I believe, I'm going to get my notes up in just a second. We'll run through the rest. Blanc and Pietro Mato are in the Ferrari, and they are in, of course, Mercury Racing Team for MRT. Of course, Rusty and Cindery are in as well for NRX, which is going to be very interesting. Rusty, of course, has got no Smokey to try and blow smoke up his back end, but we'll see what Rusty can do in terms of his lap times. And of course, we have got the ET8 team, as I mentioned, of Andrea and also of his teammate. And I'm just trying to get this up on my end. And that is, of course, where are they? ETE. It is Cam alongside Andrea there, of course, in the Mercedes. Yeah, and I'm going to turn my light on.
Yeah, well, okay, let the light go on, as it looks like the light is going to be coming on for some of these drivers out here as well. As also on a predictions point of view, is fairly important for the likes of myself and a few others, because a lot of the teams that I've predicted, and I think some of the teams you've predicted as well, James, as well as Luke, have decided to go through here. As we'll look at the predictions here, we predicted that Novus, NRX, and TF10 and Shazoo would all qualify from this group here. So we're very, very heavily leaned on the final two lobbies here, Lobby 3 and Lobby 4. But this is where we are basically saying that the fastest lobby is now here. But it's not just the fast about how quick it is out there at the moment. It's also how consistent and how close some of the drivers are out there at the moment. It's absolutely astonishingly close between some of the drivers at the moment. I think Parnell possibly might have just pipped to the post with that 14.4. That is such an important lap time considering Tian's 14.9 on that occasion. That means the average between them is going to be somewhere in the 14.7s. And whilst obviously BRT, you couldn't get any more consistent with exactly the same lap time between the two drivers. That's why I firmly put them in the qualifying bracket, and you know what, they've absolutely shown their worth here. But NRX, we're all very reliant upon potentially Rusty being the man of the moment really here, isn't it? Because he was a driver that, you know, led NRX to being the lead runner of that team. He chose to leave to go to Parnell, and then in a very short period of time left Parnell to go back to NRX again. So the question is what are NRX offering and coughing up for Rusty to retain his services going into this season, I wonder?
I think they're offering him his home, to be honest. I think Rusty's home has always been NRX, and personally I think that move to Parnell, however controversial that might have been to everyone on social media, I think it was the wrong move, because Just look at how Rusty's performed in WOR Console Tier 1. He's done a fantastic job there, done a fantastic job in Legacy Division. Why would they want to get rid of him? So I'm really glad, actually, he's back as part of the Nexus Racing team. Of course, alongside Sinderi, who, of course, I believe was part of VSR, if I'm not mistaken, as well. NOX, of course, coming alive with that signing as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see. But however you look at it, I think this is a stacked grid, and I've seen comments there coming through as well. Ollie Brooks saying, wow, this lobby, and Belroth saying this lobby is stacked, and this lobby is definitely stacked with the talent that we've got on offer. We've got Kazizel in there as well for Shazoo. We've got Macho in there for Shazoo. Not many people might know who Macho is. Let me tell you, I do, so I've got full knowledge of how he might go around this track as well. FRT as well, with Rain, and of course with Chelsea. Chelsea, of course, in for FRT as well. And hopefully it's not going to be up the Spurs in terms of their performance tonight. That is a terrible one again on me. But we are going to get loaded very soon indeed. And the Ferrari team, of course, of Pietro Mato and Blan, do not rule them out either. But this is the quickest lobby that we've got. And I will keep on top of the spreadsheet that is probably currently being updated right now as it stands. It has not been changed. So NLR currently out on top, G League in second, TGT in third, the current cutoff, because we've still gone through lobby 3 and they need to be calculated. It's a 150.198. So 115.198 is the average time. That is currently the close-off point, but that is before lobby 3 happened.
I mean, it's pretty stacked out there, as people are rightfully pointing out there. You're right. I mean, you know, I think you've got some really hard hitters in Shazoo. You've got a hard hitter in TF10 and NRX. I think Euro Titans are always that good midfield team that always like to cause a little bit of headaches towards the front end. Novus equally as well. I think Novus were a team that I think are dark horses in this one, and this is the reason why I put them through in my prediction. I think Luke similarly had the same idea here, in that Novus were one of those sort of dark horse the competition runners, a bit like ETE, in that they like to give the front runners a bit of a headache, but I think Novus has just got the quality edge over ETE on this one, and I think they are rightfully going to be a team that will qualify probably, you know, at the back, 6th or 7th position qualification, but they are rightfully going to be there, but I think they're going to be that team that are very much just going to enjoy running and being part of a tournament on this scale, as we do have eventually the lobby all set up. We will be getting racing in just a few short moments. Naturally, you'd understand with a lobby this stacked, we want to get it right on the first occasion on this one here, but there is once again the predictions on this one. Actually, T says NLR will also be a qualification as well. He went for the opposite way, and they said FRT. Leo also said FRT would qualify in this one as well. So future racing also in the cards here, according to those. Now, in my case, I don't think they'll qualify on this occasion. James, you think similarly?
Yeah, definitely. So, a bit of breaking news actually coming into lobby 3. We can see it on our screen, certainly in the lobby. Lars van der Linde is in for JR, and this is because apparently there was a bit of visually impeding in terms of reports from the JR manager who was in the lobby. So, Lars van der Linde is going to be in this session, as well as the 14 drivers that we've got and the 7 teams that we've got, of course, competing in the session. What was your question again? I
was saying about FRT. I think you're, just for clarity's sake, by the way, you are right. Juventus Racing have got Lars van der Linden in the lobby once again, so they will be having another go through him. So that is going to offer a big opportunity for Juventus and for Parnell as well, actually, because of course the two teams are so closely linked now. It's a great opportunity for the pair of them to potentially qualify in this one. But I was just saying about FRT. Now, Luke, me, and you both all say that we don't think FRT will qualify, but Leo and Tin seems to think that they will. But they are always a team that seems to be a bit of a mixed bag, aren't they, FRT?
They are. I mean, the last time they competed in Legacy Division, and again, I've been doing my homework about this, was Season 1, 36 points to their name, and they were pretty much on the bubble. They had 14 teams back then, of course, in Season 1. And FRT were up against it then, and I mean, only scoring 36 points, but they did not show up in Season 2 of Legacy Division. It was fantastic, I've got to say, last season as well. And they, of course, have established in 2020. Rain and Chelsea are in, very much competitive drivers on the Xbox side, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they got on as well. And yeah, FRT, if they do qualify, they're going to be one of the mid-pack teams, but because we've got so much in terms of the closeness, and I think in terms of the goldness as well, in terms of the amount of drivers that we've got, it is going to be very much interesting indeed. Juventus Racing, by the way, both of their drivers are in. Tyner's also in this session as well, so they're going to be granted one more lap apparently because of all of the shenanigans that went on with the visually impeding out on track. So both JR guys are in, which means we've got 8 teams now in, bar the 7, and I can rip up my notes straight away, even though we have got the likes of TF10, the likes of Team Chazoo, and the likes of NOX doing battle here, and it is going to be absolutely stacked. This is like a console tier 1 grid, to be honest, this.
Yeah, so there's your 7 teams. Now make it 8, as with the whole of the Juventus team are now coming in. Just to confirm, by the way, the situation here is that it is not just Juventus Racing, of course. Tian is Parnell, isn't it? So Parnell, yep. I've got another driver coming in here. So that means, again, Parnell and Juventus have both come in. So technically, we've now got 9 teams in here, 2 of which have got 1 driver in. But it looks like a bit of impeding happening between, those teams. Curiously, both of those teams obviously are working with each other on this one, so it's no surprises that this may have happened on that one. But nonetheless, we have 16 drivers all on the field and 9 different teams in this final lobby of 4, and that is massive because, of course, at a track like this one, impeding is going to be more prominent on that one. And I think when you've got the likes of Parnell and Juventus who want to qualify, when you've got a bunch of arguably your fastest drivers out on the grid now, that could be massive.
Yeah, definitely. So just confirming there, Luke, in the chat, PR and JL will have one more run at the end due to issues in the previous session, which is totally understandable. And we have got our first drivers out on track. And yeah, traffic is going to be a big problem, I've got to say, around here in Hungary. The first drivers are just leaving the pit lane right now. The AlphaTauri there is one of the first out on track. Liam Bowman along with FRT Rain are the first 2 out on track. But look at everyone coming out on track, and already there's been a cut of the pit lane, and I think that was from Cam, if I'm not mistaken, at ETE. I saw that with my own eyes there in the background, Sunny Jim. So they're in 6th position. Not sure if you're allowed to do that. I'm not sure if it's written in the rules and regulations, but he has crossed the pit lane, the white line. And if that is the case, and there's a lot of scrimmaging for position early on, it's a bit like a 5-lap open lobby at this stage, coming out and qualifying. But Cam there, already maybe with a bit of a slap risk potentially coming his way, as they are all fighting for track position. And why wouldn't they? It is literally like a race at this stage. I hope they're going to take it seriously.
Well, Rain is going to lead from the front, and it's the 2 McLarens of Liam Bowman and Axe Formula 1. They're both looking to also set a lap time in conjunction with each other. FRT's teammate, FRT Rain's teammate rather, is currently in a little bit of a hidgage, if you will, a bit of a mix of drivers in the midfield, just going around turn 10 at the moment. So here we go then. It's going to be all about Lobby 4. This is a stacked lobby, as people have been, I think, waiting for here. They knew that this was going to be the lobby to watch, as we've now got the first laps now coming in. FRT Ranger's going to start now going into turn 1, of course. Now, it's going to be a bit of a critical set of laps here now, though. Now they all know what they've got to look for here. It is going to be to easily get through somewhere in the region of the 14.5s and 14.6s. You can probably gamble with a 14.8, but a low 15 may just get you through. But it's all about thousandths and hundreds and thousandths of a second at the moment, as FRT Rain looking like he's just taking a little bit more of a conservative approach to turns 1, 2 and 3, but a 27.1 is not a conservative lap time for Sector 1 lap time anyway at the moment, that's for certain. As he goes through now the right-hander, then into the right-left complex, a lot of drivers taking this aggressively. Sam, Gamer Official, certainly did. It looks like a little bit of a mixed bag with Rain, though, on this occasion. Looks like somewhere in the middle of a bunch of runners, and that's very wide, and that is an invalidation. And that is critical, because that is going to be that lap time over and done with on this occasion, and that might hurt his confidence all the way through here, as Liam Bowman 27.1 in the first sector, 53.5 in the second sector. Good lap times coming in from the McLaren boys here. Axe is just behind him as well, so the first lap times will be coming in from the 2 McLaren boys, who will be looking to set the initial blocks here. Low 15s maybe a good start. 14s though would be ideal. We saw 14.8 as a banker lap in lobby 3. Here comes Liam Bowman as he comes across the line now. 14.9 initially on this occasion, with Axe F1 coming across the line with a 14.9 of his own. Good banker laps coming in already.
Yeah, very good from the NVR team. Novus Racing, of course, part of that. Macho's coming through the final couple of corners. He's going to be one of the next to come across the line. Sinderi goes there in third. Amin goes fourth as well. Very familiar name, See You and Me, in Console Tier 1 last season. As Macho comes to the line, he goes fourth. Not a bad lap there at all for Shazoo, getting one on the board. Kazizel's following up as well with the 53 pause. Rusty goes quickest. There is the man, the myth, the absolute GOAT. 1:14.844. Great lap time, but Kazizel is coming to the line.
Wow, what a banker!
14.722, Kazizel coming alive. I commentated on his first ever league race in a little old mean called FRL. Now he's here in Legacy Division and he's tearing the field apart.
What a lap time from Shazoo's Kazizel. 14.7 as a banker lap time. Are you joking me? That is exactly what Shazoo are needing. NRX with a 14.8 of their own, though. The issue is Macho and Sinderi are in the low 15s, a 15.1 and a 15.3 respectively. They're cracking lap times, but 15.3 versus a 14.8 is such a massive disparity. It puts them at potential risk of not qualifying with a 15.3. So Sinderi has got to really up his game here, and I think the pressure is certainly going to be on him at the moment. He's a heavily experienced runner. I remember watching him back in Tier 6 of TSRL, as he was known as Sinderi Siren back then, and now he's got to find the pace and try and carry NRX through into the qualifiers, through the qualifiers and through into Season 3 of WOR Legacy Division. At the moment, though, the lap times that have come in so far, Euro Titans not so happy with a 15.4 and a 16.1 respectively. TST Blan and Pietro Mato in the Ferraris 8th and 12th respectively, and Chude and Amine 9th and 10th, 15.3 and 15.4 respectively. Good lap times, but I don't think are going to be enough for qualifying.
Yeah, definitely not. Sinderi and Bland, by the way, same lap times actually set. 15.323 dead on for both of their times. Sinderi set the lap time first, so that's why he's ahead. They're in 7th position. Rain and Tyne are just coming out. Tyne, by the way, in the Alpine. He is a part of Parnell Racing, formerly Juventus Racing, however, which is why I'm getting confused by saying there's 2 JR drivers in. It is 1 for PR in Tyne and 1 for JR in Lars van der Linden. And, of course, that blocking did happen in the last session, so they've been both given a granted chance to try and set lap time. And, of course, if that lap time is quicker, it will go forward. As Heatwave saying there in the chat saying, Cam forgot to turn on the ERS, which is why he is down there in 11th position. And a 15.479. I mean, he's, 3,000th of a second off 2D. 2D was towards that back end of Console Tier 1 last season. I don't think ERS management was anything to do with that. It's still a very good lap time. But again, Cam taken across the white line, coming in towards the right-hander, the turn number 1 on his out lap. But we'll see what the Mercedes can do. And if he turns on his ERS, he will go quicker, and he'll probably go quicker maybe along the likes of Axe, Chelsea, Macho, that sort of area.
Yep, so just keeping an eye on FRT Rain, who's decided he wants to get on with it and just have another go immediately out of the blocks there, as he now heads through the left and the right-hander now. Wants to try and avoid going off of the track. This is where he lost his lap time on the last occasion. On this occasion, all right, though. Through the next sector, though, he looks to try and get to the 53s if he can. 53.5, not so bad in the second sector, but not the fastest of anyone so far, as he then goes through the next right-hander there, right on the white line. He is actually pushing to the absolute limit at the moment. It is Rain as regards to the track limits anyway, and tries to get on the power a little bit early. Didn't feel comfortable though on the rear by the looks of things. He then goes through the right-hander now. FRT will be looking to try and match somewhere with Chelsea. 15.0 is what he's looking for. 49 is what he gets. So FRT looking ever the consistent team as we maybe have expected from them. The question is are they going to qualify with that one? It looks good when they're keeping within touching distance of each other, though the 2 McLarens though are faster.
Yeah, definitely. So Tyne, by the way, for Parnell Racing is invalid on his first run. He's nearly gone for a spin. He has gone for a spin. Nearly in the wall coming out of turn number 9. And that is so unfortunate. Parnell Racing will get another lap time and he can, I think, come back in the pit lane because he's on an invalid lap time and then come back out and then go for another run and set a valid lap time on the board because this is the lad on top. Rusty there in second. Liam Bowman there in third. Axe is just preparing to start his lap. Chelsea's furthest on, I think, on his lap as well. And Sinderi's actually furthest on out of everyone. 27th flat in the first sector from Sinderi. The NRX man now coming to the right-hander of turn number 5. Pretty much car killer corner around this track, I like to call it. You ride on that inside curb and get stuck in the drainage, you will end up spinning the car. As now comes through 6 and 7 into the left-hander of turn number 8. All of the lap times being set, by the way, from lobby 3 are now being put in the spreadsheet, I can report. As Sinderi now comes into the right-hander of turn number 11. 53.6 in the middle sector. 10th and a half up, looking pretty good. Ferrari gets out the way to the left-hand side. I believe that well as Pietro Mato, who's there on an outlap. Sorry, it's Blan actually on an outlap. Sundari now comes in toward the left-hander of 13 and then into the right-hander of the final corner at turn number 14, where famously, of course, Vettel nearly spun into the wall in 2014 and the Red Bull as he now comes through the final corner on the run to the line. And Sundari with a 15.1, a little bit shy of what we normally expect from him, to be honest.
Here comes Lemine, then it comes across the line for Novus. It's a 15-0, and again, another driver in the 15-0s. They need to try and find the 14s if they can help it. Chudy on a 15-4, by the way, but it's still on a lap at the moment as we've got lap times coming in thick and fast. Axe with a 14.757. Kazizel is on a lap at the moment, but I believe it may be now on a slow lap. He was 4,000 slower in the first sector, and in the second sector, he's actually 91 thousandths up. As I've now, my controller, would you believe, is now just disconnected at right the most appropriate time. There we are, we're back online now because Rusty has gone even faster with a 14.6, but unfortunately for Kazizel, he invalidated his lap time as my controller disconnected. Rusty, on the other hand, then on a 14.6. NRX are showing some immediate pace out there. Not the fastest we've seen out of the 4 lobbies, but the problem is Sindri is still down the order with a 15.1, and that is going to harm the average for NRX.
Yeah, definitely so. It's Rusty out on top, Kazizel there in second, Axe there currently in third. Everything is getting coloured in terms of the spreadsheet, and I can report there's 24 hundredths of a second between 7th and 8th currently. I'm not going to say who, because I'm going to be absolutely obliged to not say that, as 2D invalidated through the first sector on his lap for, of course, the former VSR man, now a part, of course, of the Aston Martin team. And that Aston Martin team, of course, is NVR with Amina there in 8th position as well. But 2D there down in 11th position, invalidated on his lap. Andrea invalid on his lap. Back on board with Kazizel there. Kazizel was 93 hundredths of a second up. The gap between Rusty and Kazizel, 91 hundredths of a second. Wow. So that would have been pole position by 2,000ths of a second in this lobby, in lobby 3 for Kazizel, from Rusty potentially in second and Axe there staying in third. But as it stands, 24 hundredths of a second separating 2 teams, and I'm not going to say who.
Nor will I, because that is bold, to say the least, on this one. I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the team's coming up. Of course, I'm expecting some big things coming in. Novus, on the other hand, though, will be happy so far with the performance of Amine. So in a lap time of a 15-0, Chudy needs to find a little bit more pace. Got to try and find 14.9s if they can help it to try and be competitive. 14.8s would certainly be ideal if you want to try and qualify from lobby 4, that's for certain, as Chelsea comes across the line, and he's going to be starting now his lap in the Alpha Tauri. It's the first of both of the FRT drivers who are now actually on laps. Rain is just in front, as well as the number 3 Alpha Tauri. Not the first time we'll be saying that in the real Formula 1 season, that's for certain. Going through turn 2, then into turn 3, as he's just going to, hopefully the Ferrari will get out of the way. That's the Mercury Racing Team driver getting out of the way. 17 thousandths faster in the first sector, though, for Rain. It's not the fastest first sector of anyone so far, though. Going through into the second sector, chucks the car through the right-hander, misses the apex, which means he's going to have a tighter exit. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, as the sector 1 yellow flags were for a slowing car. I believe it was with the Aston Martin, potentially, in the Novus Racing Team driver getting out of the way through the right-hander, misses his apex ever so slightly, has to let off, and he's only 2 thousandths faster in the second sector is Rain, and it's not been the cleanest of laps here, and he's going to go off of the circuit. I don't know how he kept it in the white lines, apparently, according to the game, but he'll go through the left-hander now, will the number 3 Alpha Tauri, as it looks like there straight away FRT have decided to call him in, and the number 5 Alpha Tauri then will be the last driver to come out here. His second sector, not particularly quick, was Chelsea's here. Might be an improvement, but it won't be by much here as he goes through the right-hander right now, will Chelsea, and he does improve massively with a 14.685. That third sector was an absolute blistering lap time from Chelsea, and FRT have suddenly thrown themselves right into the mix.
They are indeed there. Chelsea in second position. Macho as well is on a lap, and he's looking good through the first sector. 27 flat in the first sector for Macho. Kazizel's behind him out on track as well. He's coming through the end of the first sector split. Macho 200s up again in the middle sector, so watch on board with him very shortly. Kazizel 26.9 in the first sector. Fastest out of everyone in the first sector by about 600ths of a second, I think, as well, from what I've seen. As Kazizel now comes to the the right-hand return number 9, through the left of 10, into all the right-hand return number 11. The lightning quick lap from Kazizel coming in, and a 53.3 is huge in the middle sector as well, but it's not enough to go. Provisional pole for now. He looks to try and outdo Rusty. Rusty is on a lap as well. He's just started on a run in towards the right-hand turn number 1 as Kazizel now comes through turn 13, and then into the right-hand turn number 14, but he actually actually backs off because Zizzle makes a mistake out of 13, backs off into the pit lane 4.5 minutes ago. I don't blame him. He will have at least one, maybe even two more runs on a set of fresh, soft compounder tyre. Rusty, by the way, didn't really need to improve in the first sector. He's 900s down.
There is another couple of tenths, I think, in Kazizel's car at the moment. That second sector was not clean in the slightest for that Alfa Romeo Shazoo driver. The issue is Macho is on a 15-0, and that is going to harm Shazoo's chances of qualification if their drivers are not in the consistent form that they're needing, because that 15-0, 15-2 is going to be critical, especially for the likes of Amine, as Amine at the moment is going to be under a little bit of pressure as Axel come across the line right now, and he goes into this 14.6s himself now, but still slower than Rusty on this occasion. It's going to be a critical set of events now here for the teams that are just out of order here, but look at the lap times coming in from the McLaren boys. 14.657, and that is massively helping their chances of qualification there. That's impressive stuff from the two.
It is really impressive from them both. MVR are looking very, very good. Novus Racing, Joseph will be very, very happy, I'm sure, at this point. Rusty there out on top, Liam Bowman there in second, Axe there in third, Cindery as well as on the lap. The NRX man coming to the left-hander of turn number 10, and then into the right-hander of turn number 11. He's looked good through the first sector. Middle sector, well off. 4 tenths down in the middle sector, not on a run here from Cindery. I think he might have just backed off a run, actually. In 7th position. Bland there is coming to the final couple of corners. He's actually into the pit lane. Tootie's not on a run. He's invalidated. Tyne as well. 58 flat in the middle sector. That's not representative of what we've seen from him in Lobby 3. So we'll see what Final Man can do as he comes back in the pit lane. Everyone, I think, is pretty much done for their third runs. It's Rusty out on top, Liam Bowman in second, Axe there in third. But a lot of hesitancy now in terms of who's going to qualify. NRX looking quite good. Cindery needs to improve at least a tenth of a second, I think, for them to be in very comfortably. Liam and Axe, I think, are pretty much there. If I was them, I would go out again and set another lap just to see if they can try and improve. FRT are the ones in trouble with Rain down in 9th position, 14.967. Chelsea in a 14.6. That currently is a 14.8 average, I think. So they might be fine. But it is literally going to come down. At the minute, it's 24 hundredths of a second between 7th and 8th, as we've mentioned. Juventus Racing, by the way, set with their second lap time, one of the quickest lap times out of Lobby 3. So that is very interesting indeed. Of course, that can be improved. And if that was Tyne, which I'm led to believe it might be, at the moment, it's borderline whether they're going to qualify.
Just having a look on Lars van der Linden at the moment. So gets into collision with the Alfa Romeo. That's an unbelievable incident involving him. And it looks like the Alfa Romeo Kazizel on an outlap. And that has massively harmed Shazoo's opportunity to potentially qualify for this event. Kazizel did not see the Williams of Lars van der Linden getting into that corner. And as a result, Kazizel is now in a high possibility of potentially being penalised. And that could send Shazoo out of qualifying for this Season 3 of WOR Legacy Division. That is critical from Kazizel.
And there's also another grid penalty as well. Rusty has been involved in a collision with Pietro Matto in the same breadth of the track, in a different part of the track albeit, but Rusty also involved with a collision with Pietro Matto. He's got a 5-second penalty as well added to his time. So that is going to be fortunate. Rusty there is first at the minute, 14.6. As I say, I think his quickest lap time, it will matter because it will just be taken as it is. But if that was going into the race, that would be drama-filled, and NRX potentially could be on the bubble for not being out here. Rusty out on top, Liam in second, Axe there in third. As it stands, but with what, barely less than 3 minutes to go on the session, this is now game time for the drivers out on track as we get onto the final laps. As Andrea, one of the first, I think, to start along with the AlphaTauris of Brain and, of course, Chelsea.
I mean, that's absolutely massive, that now, because what it is for Juventus Racing's Lars van der Linden is that he was part of Lobby 3, he was impeded or something had happened which meant that he needed to be part of Lobby 4. He's then been part of Lobby 4, and exactly as I said what would happen, the mass amount of traffic has led to an incident that's involving members that should be a part of Lobby 4 and members involving that shouldn't be part of Lobby 4, part of Lobby 4. And that is going to be now, I think, a massive headache for Luke. Good luck, son. I'm not getting involved in that. Here we are with Cindery at the moment, 4 14.8 at the moment for him. Now, that is an improved lap time, and I think probably has massively improved NRX's possibility or chances of qualifying in this event. But of course, Rusty potentially may be in trouble himself involving a collision. Now, he hasn't improved his lap time, and he's actually 3/10 of a second down, and it is an invalid lap time, so there'll be no improvement from the man on pole, nor will there be an improvement for the man in second place, as Bowman has retired. So he's now just hoping that Axe potentially could improve, but he won't, because he's in the wall. And now my controller has disconnected again on this one as I tried to get that one back up and running on that front. But in the end, it will be a solid lap time, I think, coming in the end for the man that we were on board with not too long ago here on this one, as he comes across the line, and he goes third place in the end for Cindery with a 14.651, and that almost certainly should bag the position for Nexus Racing here, as Tian is looking to try and improve as well. Remember, this is one of the back markers from the original Lobby 3, of course, and this one is for Parnell Racing, as he comes across the line with a solid 14.8. And now that will be a massive thing here. But what is impressive now is some of the front runners that we didn't think, some of the midfield runners getting into the 14.8s in the likes of FRT have massively improved their possibility of qualification. But it looks like that we're going to be getting no further improvements on this one here, as Chudy comes across the line. He won't improve with his 15.0, and that potentially puts Novus Racing at risk, that's for certain. But what a qualifier indeed. There are going to be massive questions surrounding Juventus Racing and surrounding Parnell Racing's involvement in Lobby 4, because that may have just scuppered the opportunity for Team Shizou to qualify in this one with Kazizel 14.7. Macho could only get a 15.0, but there was a possibility of qualification. But if a penalty falls in the favour of Kazizel, that may end up being it for Team Shizou's opportunity to race in Season 3 of WOR Legacy. Shocking stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a 14.86 or a 14.87, I think, for Team Shizou, looking at the average lap time. They're just being inputted in now at the back end of Lobby 3. Parnell, by the way, did improve with that lap time from Tiny. Did find a 10th improvement on his previous session, so that lap time gets added in. So he's fine. If you're a Parnell Racing fan, I think you're good. But we'll see what the lap times are saying as they do get set up within the lobby. But it's Rusty out on top. It's Bowman in second, Cindery in third. And I'm going to be photographer once again for this to try and send the result through to Mr. Luke Humphries. But look at that. I mean, Jota, top 5 are covered by, 700ths of a second, despite the 5-second penalties there. Brilliant lap times from all of them. Max there in 4th, Chelsea there in 5th, Kazizel in 6th, Tyne in 7th, Amin there in 8th, Rain there in 9th, Cam there in 10th, and Blant in 11th, Macho in 12th. 2D 13th, then Andrea in 14th, Lars van der Linden in 15th, and then in 16th position at the back end of the field is Lars van der Linden, and he is right down there at the back of the field. And luckily, I got that, I think, before. Oh, yeah, yeah.
No, well, never mind. I caught it on the stream anyway, so if worse comes to worse, it's there. But nonetheless, that was a little bit of a mixed bag. We'll take a look at the predictions once again, as I'm sure Luke is now just dealing with his migraines at the moment between the managers arguing with each other. I think now we look at that one, honestly, I think I've probably got 2 wrong in there. I'm not going to, name and shame on that one. I think I've probably got 2 wrong on that one. I'm not looking at the, the sheet. I know it's been filled in, but I'm going to be candid and be truthful and say I don't think I've got 2. I think there's a real possibility that you've got a good call, potentially with the likes of Shizou. I think everyone predicted Shizou as well in that one, but that Kazizel's moment could be so critical in the end here, because there's a real possibility here that people could end up legitimately being knocked out as a result of penalties, and that would be so critical for people in like the likes of Shizou getting in there, potentially now being knocked out as a result of that, especially considering it was involving drivers that should have been part of Lobby 3 that were part of Lobby 4. So the question here is, how many tablets is Luke going to have to deal with to mute the headache that he's now got?
Quite a lot, I would imagine. Quite a lot. And I think from Luke's perspective, he's done a fantastic job getting all of this in for the drivers and putting all of this on the qualifiers event. Of course, it marks 3 weeks to the day until season number 3 of Legacy Division does start. We start with Monaco, I believe, as well, which is going to be very, very interesting for the drivers. And they're probably thinking, James, why you say Monaco's first round? We want like Las Vegas or something. But no, Unfortunately, it's Monaco. Round 1, Lucas decided to be an angry person and putting Monaco first to try and really challenge the drivers. The board and the spreadsheet, by the way, is being filled in literally as I speak to you right now. So I will bring you literally the latest results as they come through.
If people are wondering what I'm looking at the moment, I am looking as it's being filled in at the moment, and it is pretty scary to say the least on this one.
Pretty close.
Of course, remember, of course, if the drivers that are the teams rather, sorry, that are outside of the top 7 obviously then start going into a reserve pattern. So if any of the teams end up dropping out, then obviously first reserve goes to whoever the fastest reserve was, and then obviously it drops down as and when it's happening. But that is wow, okay, that is not what I expected on that one. We've got the lap times are now coming in, obviously, and that will be a confirmation of what happens. And obviously there may be some questions surrounding the individuals that qualify in this one, but we have our final order. And from what I'm aware of, and this is obviously very much pending, the final results that are coming in at the moment, but what we have here is a confirmation alongside Paradox Sim Racing, Talent Factory Esports and Outplayed Racing. The teams that will be going through will be the Bunga Racing team, who have scored fastest by quite a long way as well, just over a 10th between them. It will be following on from that, Bunga Racing team, and no surprise, Nexus are in there as well, to be expected on that front. But we have got a question coming in, because we have got right, okay, we've got breaking news coming in. Lobby 5 is about to begin, and this is because of all of the incidents that have happened in Lobby 4. We have now got, out of nowhere, Lobby 5 happening. Now, we've got no graphic for this, because obviously we weren't expecting this, but we have got the announcement of these teams that are potentially going to be coming through, but out of nowhere, we've got another lobby coming in, and that is because of more impeding and more situations that have happened on circuit. We don't know who's going to be part of Lobby 5, so we will bear that one in mind. And you may forgive us for sounding like it's a little bit of a mix-up here, but the managers are really concerned about the integrity, I think, perhaps, of the last 2 lobbies, that we're going to have to do a Lobby 5. James, have you got anything else on that?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm just chatting with Luke there. I'm certainly all good to do another 20-minute lobby for sure, and I think it's probably the best thing out of everything, because all of the impeding there, I'm sure Rusty will be involved in that. Pietro Mato, I'm sure, will be involved in that as well. All of that impeding, all of that is going to go into this lobby. There'll be 5. Everyone at this point will be in that. I'm looking through. There has been a change up in the top 7. So we'll have a look at that in just a second. But yeah, I'm all good to do another 20 minutes. I'm not sure about you, Jota, but it is going to be interesting. We were going to announce the top 7.
We were going to announce the top 7, but you know what? You made a... I can't use swears, but you made a really, really good call on one of those based on the top 7. I must admit, I did not expect one of these teams to be in here, so fair play to you on that one. We'll take a look, obviously, at that one, but obviously we can't announce anything now we've got Lobby 5. We can safely say, though, that Bunga Racing team, let's be perfectly candid, are flying away with this one. The consistency between the 2 of them means that they have got a collective score that is faster than anyone so far. You can do the maths on that one to prove that one, so I think it's fairly clear BRT are going to be the way forward on that one. But I can't really say anyone beneath that, because it's so close between those in the next 6 beneath it, that this Lobby 5 could completely mix it up on this one. So we are going to get involved with Lobby 5 in just a few moments. But Luke has basically begged us for the 20 minutes. You know what? I'm very happy to have another 20 minutes worth of action. I'm sure you guys at home are very much willing to have that one as well, as we now have got the lobby set up, as we are now waiting for the drivers that are going to be part of this event. We are still yet to get news on that one, but as it stands so far, I mentioned Bunga Racing team, and I'm fairly certain they are qualified for this one here. The pace that they have got in this and the consistency that they have got is going to be an eye-opener for the likes of Talent Factory, Outplayed, and Paradox Sim Racing. Quick as they are, and as consistent, especially as PSR now going into this new season, I am sorry, Bunga Racing team are going to be serious contenders in this one now, surely.
They are. They're such a strong team. I mean, a 10th clear at this moment in time as it stands. But of course, we have got the lobby being set up. I believe Lars van der Linden is going to be in once again, so I have heard. Juventus Racing have got a yellow now next to the name on the spreadsheet, which means their lap time is going to be, I think it's the original lap time that they set, 14.955. Whoever may have set that, Lars, I think, is going to be the man that we are waiting on. Luke is getting very angry, I've got to say, at him, but we're going to see him in this lobby. And to be honest, it gives a fair shot to any of the drivers that might have been affected by any of the carnage that we had towards the end of that session. Lars has not been given an invite, apparently. He might need to restart his game, if that is the case. He might need to restart it and then come back in as a result. But we are going to get a rerun as a result from Lars, and he does get an invalid lap and a run. So there we go. So that is confirmation from Luke. It is Lars that is going to be getting an invalid lap and a run. But we are going to be on absolute tenterhooks right now in terms of seeing who is going to be towards the top end of the 7 teams that are going to be qualifying, of course, for the £3,000 prize pool, the £1,900 rig from NLR, of course, Next Level Racing, and of course more than £1,000 prize pool. That is an offer. Fantastic, I'm going to say, for the WOR for putting up this, but it is only Mr. Lars van der Linden that we are waiting for. So this is going to be a new one on me, commentating on one driver in a lobby.
I hope that WOR Live has accidentally put themselves as a driver. I think they need to, actually, no, I think they need to.
We're going to see Nick drive
because they can't be on his own, can he? So obviously WOR Live will be doing it, but Lobby 5 is going to consist of no one but Lars van der Linden, and to be fair, Lars van der Linden was the one who was involved in the collision with Shazuz Kazizel that we saw. We all saw it live. That completely killed his run. And of course, if he got any damages off of the back of that, I don't know if any damages are part of the lobby, but if that is the case, that means Juventus Racing have not just been handed a lifeline, they've been handed 2 on this scenario to give themselves an opportunity to qualify in this one. And considering how close it is at the moment between qualifying and being knocked out at the moment, a 10th or 2 could potentially get you through and whatever. So that is going to be such a critical element to this one in that run. So we are now in the lobby about to get going for this one-man run, and it will be only Lars van der Linden doing this event here, and we go live now to what will be a one-man lobby, and it will be on his own doing the lap for the next 20 minutes, which means we have got potentially nothing to talk about now for the next 16 before he has his one run. But let's be candid here. Is it even worth doing this? Because I've got to be perfectly candid here. No running on circuit means there's going to be no rubber laid out on track, meaning that the track's going to be green as heck. If he does get the opportunity, we wait 16 minutes and then he goes on that one final run, the track is still not going to be at its best.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And I feel sorry for him because he's not even allowed, I don't think, an engineer in this lobby either. So that is going to be a little bit pain. It's going to be one man and his thoughts, basically, for Lars van der Linden. At this moment in time, though, I can report it's between G League or Juventus Racing, who are going to be qualifying for the 7th position. As it stands, both of them, I believe, have got the same lap times in terms of the average from the 2. So if that is the case, and if that is to be confirmed, and it's certainly what I'm seeing on my screen in front of me right now, G League and Juventus Racing, Lars van der Linden, all he's got to do, bless him, is improve by 1,000th of a second. No pressure. That's
massively controversial, because what that means is Lars van der Linden has been given a lifeline to basically improve on his lap time.
It's been updated, sorry. It's a 149.839, their current best out of their 2 at this moment in time. G League at this moment in time, a 149.658 is their current average. So it is Mr. Lars that needs to do a 114.774 on average to try and confirm, and that is a big task if you ask me.
That is quick maths as well. Fair play to you on that one, because I couldn't do it that quickly. But yeah, you're absolutely right in that front. So what it basically means is he's got to get basically the equivalent of potentially the 3rd or 4th fastest lap time that has been done over 4 lobbies, now a 5th lobby, whilst having no rubber laid out on the circuit. That is a massive task for Lars van der Linden at this moment in time. You may be wondering, why have we got a Red Bull on circuit at the moment in World Live currently out there at the moment? What you're witnessing is Luke at the moment out there just getting himself on the circuit, probably laying some rubber out on the circuit himself, but I have a feeling he's probably just going to come into the pits and just let that run. Don't worry, there is no team called World at the moment, but he is just laying out a bit of a track on circuit at the moment. But Lars van der Linden, as you can see, remains in the pit lane for this one here, and you may be wondering what is going out at the moment, what is going on. So we have got very limited clarity on what's going on as well. I think agreements obviously are being made amongst all of the managers to make sure that they get a fair whack at going for, let's be honest, it's £3,000 worth of equipment and prizes and everything for a team. They want to have the opportunity, the fairest opportunity to have a go at this one, and the way we're going to do that is by letting Lars van der Linden having a third run for Juventus Racing, but it means that he's got to effectively go out there with very limited rubber on circuit and produce possibly the third or fourth fastest lap time recorded over 4 lobbies, obviously this being the 5th. That is a really, really tough ask for Juventus Racing.
Yeah, it is. And to be honest with Lars as well, he's got 125 people watching him as well, and I would not like to be put in that pressure situation right now for him. I don't know what he is currently thinking at this moment in time. I really hope he is thinking that he can try his best, because all you can give right now is your best. As I say, they are, a 10th and a half off on G League. G League currently in 7th position as it stands. The other 6 teams are qualified already. So Thunder Racing Team, Nexus Racing, Parnell Racing, Novus Racing, NLR Esports are also in there. I did say watch out for them. And Future Racing Team, FRT, are also in there as well, with currently a 10th quicker time than G League. G League on a 149.658. That's the collective time. So 114.658. And Juventus Racing a 114.839. A 114.774 is currently the best, as Mr. Luke Humphries comes across the line to set a world-beating 121.520, the best lap that we've seen in Lobby 5 so far.
Good humour, I'll give you that one on there. But we have a look then at the team signed up for Season 3 once more then, of course. 24 will become 7. We're trying to decide who the number 7 will be in this one at the moment. But one thing is for certain, the team that absolutely running right in the qualifiers has been that team right at the top of those qualifying. It's Bunga Racing Team, flying so high. Exactly the same lap time between both of their drivers, and incredibly blisteringly quick as well, is amazing, as Luke is just offering an opportunity to go on board with him, actually, if he wants, because he's currently racing on a pad with no game sound whatsoever. So should we give him a little bit of airtime? Actually, I think we should, as we now go on board with the Red Bull Racing Luke, looking to just drive around here now with absolutely no game sound whatsoever. And absolutely, you know what, that is a creative interpretation of track limits, that is, Luke, actually. I'll give you that on that one. But he's obviously trying to set some rubber on the circuit to give Juventus Racing's Lars van der Linden the best opportunity to have a run on this one here. He's still obviously joined it. The lobby started 6 minutes ago. Still nothing in here, as he's actually now coming in, is Luke, as that will be it for his run on this one. So obviously it's all about what Lars can do moving forward on this one. But you're absolutely right. This is the person that I did mention about the team, James, and I said you made a really good call with G League, because no one else predicted G League. You did on that one, and they are obviously on the brink of qualifying. It's just dependent on what Lars van der Linden can do for Juventus Racing. But you know what? The biggest shock of them all, of course, is that situation with Shizou, because they were blisteringly quick and they were in there. But I did say, didn't I, about the situation with them, that second driver not being in there in the 1 minute 14s may cost them dearly. Now, obviously, no announcements just yet until we get the full results here, but I think they are absolutely at risk now as a result of that one. And I think potentially as well, you've got to look at it from the other perspective of Nexus as well. They at one point looked to be at risk, and if it weren't for Cindery to throw down a lap time that was in the mid 1 minute 14s, they could have been at risk.
Yeah, they definitely could have. I mean, to put it into perspective from Nexus, they did a 114.612 and a 114.651. So that is real good consistency in terms of their lap times. Very, very good. Both times get added up, by the way. There's no division in terms of the average. So both their times get added up. So you can probably do the maths yourself in terms of the lap times. Mr. Luke Humphries is going to come out on track once again to set more rubber down on the track. No, in fact, it's actually Mr. Lars van der Linden who's coming out. It's Lars that is going to be coming out on track. He's going to put some rubber down himself. He's currently there in second position in this lobby. Luke Humphries currently beating him, the 1:21.520, but that doesn't matter. What that matters now is 1:14.774 for Lars van der Linden if he wants to try and get Juventus Racing in there. But yeah, Nexus Racing, not at all surprised that they're in. Final Racing, not at all surprised that they're in as well. NLR Esports, I think, is the big shock so far. Future Racing Team as well, FRT, big shock from my perspective as well. A 1:14.616 compared to 1:14.852 for NLR. They've done enough, but it's only by a 10th of a second over FRT. G League currently over just under a 10th of a second ahead of Shazoo. Shazoo there, the first reserve team at this moment in time, and Macho was probably the Shazoo team. I'm probably going to be looking at Macho right now and thinking, you know, I should have just fielded another driver, and it would have been a little bit cream and crisp bread and butter for Shazoo. They decided to field a brilliant driver, and albeit in Macho, but he underperformed. It's simple as that, because Izzle put in that brilliant lap time of a 1:14.722, and in the end, Shazoo with Macho a 1:15 flat. In the end, not enough, and they're currently first reserve, beating ET8, by the way, by 1700ths of a second.
Let's go on board then with Juventus Racing's Lars van der Linden as he comes across that final corner to start his lap then. It's going to be a critical lap here. He needs to find 1:14.7s if he wants to have any possibility of qualifying Juventus Racing through into WOR Legacy Division. But a big tank slapper at the final corner isn't going to help his scenario at all, as he actually looks like he's gone into some kind of AI mode there. Looks like the steering definitely glitched out there. Whether or not he was in there or not, I don't know. But either way, he goes through turn 3 into turn 4. We'll see what his Sector 1 looks like here, and I'm sure it's not going to be sharp. It's only a 27.158 as he track extends, and that is his lap over and done with for Lars van der Linden. Now, I'm not sure about the rules here, but does he only get the one attempt and then that's it, or does he have another run? I'm not sure on that one, but certainly is his lap over and done with for Juventus Racing.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully we'll get confirmation from Luke, but Luke's actually out on track right now, so we can't get confirmation right now. But he did invalid his run in Lobby 3, if I'm not mistaken, as well, and he did get another crack, of course, in Lobby 4. Then, of course, invalidated lap time and got caught in that incident with Kazizel, as you mentioned. And now with another invalid lap time, this time in Lobby 5, he's got to try and put everything on the board. He looks like he's going to go again. He saved up a bit more ERS, so it looks like he's going to go again. And fair play to him, he's got one lap time now on the run. ERS now is going to be fully enabled once again. So this is now Lars van der Linden against the clock. A 1:17.742 that was, with that invalidation. So it would have been enough. Wouldn't have been enough because he was about 3 seconds off what he expected. Much better coming out of turn number 1, though. Down into the left-hander of turn number 2, as Luke there goes quickest with the 1:20.329, putting the JL man to absolute shame with that lap time, as Lars now comes up the hill into the left-hander of turn number 4, and a 27.127. Much better, but again invalid.
Same again at turn 4, and that is enough for Luke. He retires on circuits, and now it's all about Juventus Racing's Lars van der Linden, and he better not ride the curbs like that one, because if damage is on, that could be floor damage now on for the McLaren runner here. But that is frustration, and certainly the pressure of over 100 viewers looking at one driver on circuit trying to qualify his team in, and he is all over the place. Surely now it will be it for Lars van der Linden. He's got to come in the pit lane, change his soft tyres, and give the opportunity to have another go on this one, but he is under a lot of pressure. Damage is off, by the way. It is just for confirmation. He can invalidate, by the way. It's absolutely fine. Ooh. Oh, as he goes through the pit lane entry, and that is not the right way to get in, and I've now got no doubt that the managers are going to be all over Luke to say that is now a penalty-worthy situation for Lars van der Linden, which is now going to make his job twice as hard if he gets 5 seconds added on. So, in my honest opinion, is Lars van der Linden now calling it quits here, or is he going to have another go? But surely, every single manager that's taken part, all 27 of them are going to, or 24 of them, sorry, are going to say, hey, what's that all about?
Yeah, Freddy there in the chat, to be honest, is saying, commentators, please, it's a planned invalid lap. There is a planned invalid lap, and then there's running wide at turn 4 twice. That I don't think is planned. I think that is just the driver losing his head coming out of turn number 4, and I'll be brutally honest with that. And this is
that's
very
Fleddy.
much...
That's Fleddy's humour, though, isn't it? Juventus Racing's Fleddy trying to practice and cover off his teammate, isn't it? But the bottom line is that yeah, you're right. I mean, he went off of turn 4 twice, exactly the same fashion. Tried to take turn 4 with a high aggression, didn't he? And the car could not handle it underneath, and then it's, you know, goes and understeers. That's what's happened. As SLR Nico let him cook. What is he cooking? That is what I'm trying to argue at the moment. He's cooking on his own at the moment. I said there's too many chefs in the kitchen at the moment. It's the sous chef on his own in a massive room. He's trying his hardest out there, and you know what? Fair play to him, because I couldn't do this. As we mentioned earlier, didn't we?
No.
As it looks like Juventus Racing is now sending him back out again with 5 minutes to go. You know, we said, didn't we, that I wouldn't be a driver, you know, being part of this event, and we won't have the bottle to be a driver in this event. And then I said, I can't barely be a commentator in an event like this one. Imagine being the only driver in a lobby like this at the moment. That is a lot of pressure on the number 37 Juventus Racing driver.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, honestly, if Lars is listening to us here in the commentary box, turn off the stream first and foremost. That's a distraction in its own right. Don't listen to anybody but yourself. This driver is absolutely committed in his craft. He would not be here right now trying to qualify for JR if he wasn't good enough. He is good enough, and he just needs to basically treat this like a one-shot qualifying lap. You get one shot at it, and if you haven't got that frame of mind and you don't realise it's a one-shot qualifying lap, you're going to struggle to get into that mentality. And this is all about mentality now for JR Lars van der Linden. This is a high-pressure situation, and to be honest, in all of my league racing career and all of my team event covering commentary, I've never seen anything done like this before, and this is what I've said. It's the first time for everything. And Lars van der Linden, all he's got to do now is literally get every bad and negative thought, channel that into this lap, and put it down where it matters the most. This is what he's going to have to do for JR. I'm absolutely fully supportive he can do this. I really want to see him do this. I hope you guys in the chat want to see him do it as well. He is a very capable driver. Any criticism towards him might be unfounded, but it's a high-pressure situation. You need to get all of this now and embed this into one lap.
I appreciate, you know, there's some actually really, really wholesome comments coming in now saying that imagine if he does the 14.7. You know, he's ice cold, is Lars. Well, we'll see what he is now as he comes across the line now. He's got probably only a couple of attempts left to try and take his team to the promised land of Season 3 of WOR Legacy Division. Of course, remember, £2,900 on the line. I'm hoping he's turned off his stream if you're hearing the amount of money that could be on the line for Juventus, of course, as they go through the left-hander now. Really well done turn 1, a very well done turn 2, actually. Lets the car nation out wide and goes through the right-hander. Very good sector 1, I must admit here. Hopefully he's not going to have the same issue then at turn 4. He may take it a bit more conservatively. He absolutely doesn't. He throws it in and nails it as he goes through turn 5. And I tell you what, through 6 and 7, this is going to be critical here. If he could get through 6 and 7 cleanly, we might be on for a good lap here. And it is not bad. Oh, a little bit of a tank slapper though. Loses the rear end ever so slightly. Misses his apex through 8 as a result. Hits 9 though, and 9's looking all right actually. Goes through 10 into 11, and this is going to be a critical corner. How much curb is he going to take? He's going to take a lot, and the car does not go out wide. It's a 53.6. It's a massive second sector for Juventus Racing's Lars van der Linden. Oh no, he invalidates his lap, and he's going to be told keep going. We want to see where this would have been if he keeps going for it. He's going to go around then the final couple of corners here. We want to see what that lap time would have been. Remember, a 14.7 is what we're looking for. He goes out wide through that corner. He hits the grass, so he ends up bottlenecking the lap, but he certainly would have been in there. He retires as well. That is it. Juventus Racing are out of this WOR Legacy. That is over and done with. That is disappointing stuff, to say the least, because if it weren't for that grass and it weren't for going out wide, I certainly think that he would have been well and truly in there.
He would have been, it was looking, to be honest, to be around a 115 flat. I think even with the amount of give that he was taking on that lap, it wasn't good enough in terms of the splits. Francesco there saying in the chat, was the splits good enough? At the moment, no, it wasn't. And that's a shame. It was through turn number 5. He got caught basically on the inside curb through turn number 5. That sent the car completely offline. Then going through 6 and 7, he had another slight mistake coming through there. 8 and 9 were fine, and he gained the time back through the middle sector. But that time was already lost coming out of turn number 5. He cost himself a 10th of a second. And in the end, we all wanted him to do it. I was fully in his mode. But at the end of Lobby 5, it is Luke Humphries who tops the session with a 120.329. And Lars van der Linden, unfortunately, falling short. And that means Juventus Racing are 12th in all of that. with a 1:14.884 and a 1:14.955. They're 2 lap times behind Victus Racing Team, TGT and ET8. As a result, 12th position but full credit to Lars. He gave that absolute welly, and to be honest, 126 people of you watching right now, I bet 120 of you wouldn't have the bottle to do that.
No, there's absolutely no way that a lot of people on here would have done that. But we now have our confirmation of the teams that are now through, with Lars van der Linden not able to improve. We have full confirmation of the teams that are qualified. You'll get the full announcement, obviously, on our Twitter at WOR League. Keep an eye out on that one, and of course I'm sure all the teams that will be very excited to let their followers know that they're in a competition for up to £3,000 worth of gear. But here is it as it is right now. Obviously, Paradox Sim Racing from Talent Factory and Outplayed Racing, the top 3 from last season, automatically qualify, so it is all about the top 7. Bunga Racing Team, no surprise, beats everyone in the qualifying with their competitive lap times with each other in that one, meant that they ended up at the top of the standings with a total 149.178 seconds. In the end, though, it follows as is. Nexus go second, from Parnell Racing, from Novus Racing, from NLR Esports, from Future Racing Team, and then your top pick, James, in this one, G-League have qualified, and they are now through into WR Legacy Season 3. And in the end, guess who the top first reserve was? It was Team Shazoo. And in the end, it was that disparity with Kazizel and the other driver that in the end meant that they are now top reserve. In the effect of one team falling out, Shazoo will end up taking that place, and I think they'll be very happy to take that place in the end. And it is ET8 Esports as well, second fastest from there. And then going down the rest of the field, we have Total Gaming Esports Team, Victus Racing Team, Juventus Racing, TF10, ERL Esports, FVR, False Group Esports, Euro Titans Esports, Summit League Racing Team, Ground Effect Spec Racing, Mercury Racing Team, WOR Esports, Inter Racing Series, Invictus Racing Team, and the MTK Racing Team, rounding out the final results on that one. The results, of course, will be over on WOR League a little bit later on when all the graphics are done. God bless the league for the moment for all their efforts. They're going to be having a late night as it stands. It is now 20-10 in the UK at the moment. From myself, though, and the rest of the team here, James, I've got to ask the final question for yourself, actually, before we go here. We're in for a monumental season ahead of us. If anything of that qualifying's got to go by, surely the top 3 are going to be certainly looking at Bunga, Nexus, and Parnell. They are blisteringly quick.
Definitely so, and I think it's going to be one of the most competitive legacy division races I think we're going to see. Monaco, of course, first round of the championship, and then following that, I'll quickly get the calendar up on my little trip sheet. Britain, Netherlands, Austria, and Qatar, the first 5 races of the season. 3 sprint races during the season as well, Qatar being 1, Spain being the other, and then Abu Dhabi on my birthday, which I'm not going to be here for because I'm going to be in York that day. So it is going to be very interesting. But Monaco in 3 weeks' time, you do not want to miss it. And we're still yet to introduce PSR, Talent Factory, and OP to the lineup as well, which is going to be very interesting. Hope you guys can tune in for it in, 3 weeks' time?
Yep, August 22nd for the first race in Monaco. It will be a night race as well, as far as I'm aware. We had a really good night race, last season. We started off with that night race. I think it was Joseph, actually, was a co-commentator for that one as well. I think he wished us luck with all of the math. And really well done, by the way, with the maths, James, because I couldn't have done that one, that's for certain. But we are in for a blinder in a few weeks' time, August 22nd. We start off with the Monaco Grand Prix at night. Hopefully you could join me and James for that one. But in the meantime, have a great summer holiday. We're obviously off now for a little bit, for us, all of us, to actually have a well-deserved break. But for myself and the rest of the team here in WR, we'll see you in just a few short weeks for the Monaco Grand Prix. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.